Red sails in the sunset. He's singing.
Sunset.
Hello and welcome to Long Live Hooky Street, the podcast where we rewatch and discuss every episode of Britain's most beloved TV comedy, Only Fools and Horses. I'm Jenny and I'm joined from Hong Kong by my co-host and sister Heather. Say hello, dude.
Hello, everyone, from rainy Hong Kong.
Today we are discussing Series 7, Episode 1, The Sky's the Limit. So grab yourself something healthy or something nice and let's get started.
This episode aired on the BBC at 7:15 p.m. on Sunday, December 30th, 1990, just 5 days after the Christmas special, Rodney Come Home. The viewing figures for this one were just 15 million, making it the lowest of Series 7. This airing followed Songs of Praise and was followed by Agatha Christie's Appointment with Death from 1988. The number one song in the UK charts at this time was Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter by Iron Maiden. Not very Christmassy. Luckily, the number one movie at the UK box office was still Christmassy. Home Alone is still in the top position this week. So let's move on to a little trivia, shall we, dude?
Okay, yes, let's do that. John Sullivan's idea for this episode came from an experience he had when flying from Gatwick Airport to Portugal. Sullivan had been sat directly behind the pilot on his flight due to a booking error, meaning his family's original seats on the first flight had not been booked correctly. He spent the flight talking to the pilot and learned a lot about plane guidance systems. The studio shoots for this episode took place on Monday the 19th and Tuesday the 20th of November 1990. According to KidsConnect.com, this was the same day that the Cold War officially came to an end during a summit in Paris. Most of the location work for this episode was done in Bristol. The only exception here is at the airport. And there is a new location for Boycie and Marlene's house, not the same one as past episodes. We meet the first of two of Marlene's family members in this episode, her brother Bronco, played by actor Ron Aldridge, who was close friends with the star of Sullivan's other show, Dear John, Ralph Bates, who went ahead and introduced Aldridge to Sullivan. This episode gives us the first shots of Dell's new bedroom set, as well as the new sets for the interconnecting hallways at Nelson Mandela House. This one really is the last appearance of Duke in Only Fools and Horses, and we get another appearance of baby Tyler in this scene, this time played by Elliot, the son of a friend of Adrian Pegg. And the ending of this episode is probably the most far-fetched gag attempted by Only Fools and Horses, and cannot really be explained away, so alas, nobody has ever tried. There was a period of time after 9/11 where this episode was removed from the repeating schedules by the BBC and UK Gold for sensitivity reasons. Although I could not find much to say for how long or any further details on that. It just says online that it was removed, and I do remember that from the time.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I think it was not for long. But yeah, that was all I had for now. I'm going to sprinkle the rest of the trivia throughout the episode breakdown as usual. Shall we move on to our episode rankings, dude?
Yes, let's do it. So, for our regular listeners, you will know by now that each week we reveal and compare our rankings for the episode. And prior to recording the entire podcast, we independently ranked all 64 episodes. If you didn't already know all that, then you're not yet one of our regular punters. So we'd love for you to subscribe to the podcast. We usually release a new episode every Saturday, but for the 50-minute series episodes, we are doing one long episode every 2 weeks instead of splitting them into two. And we really do need more subscribers. So please do give us a like if you enjoy the episode and tell your mates about us. We really need more support to continue putting in the time and the effort that we have been. So you can also go ahead and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And only if you feel inclined, you can buy us a pina colada on buymeacoffee.com. All the links will be in the channel page and the episode descriptions.
Okay, dude. So let's start with your ranking this week.
Okay, my ranking for this one, I don't know if you'd guess this is where it would be. Do you think that it's a lower ranked one or a higher ranked one?
It's interesting. I've had a hard time guessing with this one. I'm going to go ahead and guess it's lower for you.
Yes, a little bit lower than sort of probably what you'd expect. My ranking for this week is 38.
Oh, that is lower than I thought. Yeah, I mean, it's not that low. It's a little bit lower than halfway, but yeah. It's interesting. This is a really interesting one. I'll be fascinated to find out more details. Do you want to go ahead and start talking about why yours is 38?
This episode for me is a very mixed bag. On the one hand, there are some parts that I find absolutely hilarious, which I'll talk about, when we're going through the episode. But on the other hand, there's a lot of parts that I find a little bit absurd, I guess, would be the right way to put it, especially the ending, as Jenny just mentioned. And I think that there's almost too much happening and yet not enough happening all at the same time. It's quite a weird episode in that sense. Yeah, I think that some of it works very well and some of it doesn't work so well. So rewatchability that I always talk about for me for this one is not that high. That's why it kind of ended up as 38. How about you, dude?
Okay, so let's start with this because I did remember that for Fran it was really high and I just wanted to confirm that, and I'm correct. This is Fran's number 3.
What? Wow, okay.
And I vaguely remember having it higher when I did my original first layout and I moved it down slightly. Mine's not as low as yours. So my ranking for this episode is 27.
Okay.
There's 27 of us. And for IMDb, it's 28. So I have almost the same as IMDb in this case. And one thing I will say about this episode is I don't agree that it isn't rewatchable. I think it's very rewatchable, mostly because it's so, like you said, nothing's really happening, but a lot's happening. It's one of those episodes that's just a comfort watch for me. Every scene is kind of familiar. I think there are some really great jokes. When I rewatched this episode to prepare, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I know the end is ludicrous. I know it's a far-fetched storyline, and the problem maybe with some of the episodes that are in the 50 minutes category is that they aren't very plot focused all the time like some of the earlier ones. So you do end up with these scenes where you're like, which episode is that in? Because it's got nothing to do with the plot, right?
Yes,
this happens a lot in the later episodes. It happens in Fatal Extraction. It happens in Mother Nature's Son. There's all these clips that you remember and you're like, I have no idea what episode that's in because it's just another scene in the nag's head that's got nothing to do.
Yeah, it doesn't relate to the main plot. Yes, you're right.
And this is kind of the beginning of that happening pretty much in every episode of Series 7. There's a lot of that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it really, because I do just love just watching the scenes in the pub, and there's a lot of really just good moments in this episode that make it, to me, really enjoyable. But I do understand other reasons why it's not so enjoyable. Now we should talk to Fran about why it's her number 3. I think that's that's surprising in a way, but
that's very high.
At the same time, I could totally see it being in someone's top 10 because it's just a really fun episode.
Well, yeah, this is the thing for me. Because I think I have so many other episodes that I really love that sort of, get bumped up and get put much higher. And I also think about the whole of Series 7. I think this is one of the lower ones for me in Series 7. And I think because some of Series 7 I absolutely love. So it just, it's a very mixed bag, Series 7. And I think this is something you spoke about, I think, in the series wrap when you say like people had mixed feelings about sort of this era of Only Fools and Horses. People sort of agreed that Series 6 was the peak, where like episode after episode after episode was just amazing. And then things sort of got a bit more mixed by the time we got to Series 7. I would agree with that. And I think this episode is part of that mixed bag for me, and that's why it fell a bit lower than maybe people would expect.
Yeah, and this episode definitely 100%, mostly because of that thing we just discussed, which is that it was taken out of the repeats. We, for some reason, didn't have this or The Chance of a Lunchtime recorded from TV, if you remember.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah.
So we had every other episode. I know that. All the other 4, I know like the back of my hand. This one and The Chance of a Lunchtime, we didn't see them properly until we got the VHS because they weren't recorded.
Yeah.
And The Sky's the Limit in particular, yes, it was hard to get it off the TV.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I ever saw it aired on TV. And I remember being told that, along with like lots of other things, like certain songs and other TV shows and movies that weren't on TV after 9/11. I mean, obviously 9/11 is a little bit away from this at this time.
Yeah.
Like, that didn't even happen for like another 10 years. But for some reason, I just never saw this episode until we got the VHS.
Yeah, that's probably another factor for me. Yeah, the fact that we didn't grow up with this one, really. That is probably true as another reason that it doesn't rank as highly, because it doesn't have that same nostalgia factor for me as maybe some of the other episodes do.
Yeah. And then, of course, we discussed this at the very, very beginning of the podcast and all the way through, is that the cliffhanger endings that you can go away later and maybe rationalize, like, how did they get out of this one? Like, there isn't really a way to rationalize this one, I suppose, unless you just say the plane wouldn't have been flying that low, but like the only way they got out of this is if they switched it off and the plane made a very strong upturn. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I speak about that in my notes in the last scene, so we can go into more detail there. But yes, I completely agree with you. The ending of this one is ludicrous, let's be fair.
There's no point really trying to rationalize it. I think the whole reason that, because we always get these great moments, the freeze frame and the theme tune kicking in, it's just a way of telling us, that's it. Okay, you're not going to get any more explanation. And that is fine. I don't need one. But yeah, if you were to choose like the top 10 most ludicrous endings, this would be number one, without a doubt.
Well, I think just to very quickly compare it to The Simpsons, this was one of the biggest criticisms of The Simpsons when it ran for longer, is that things got more and more ridiculous to the point where it's like that would never happen. Whereas the first few series of The Simpsons, very much like Only Fools and Horses, was very much grounded in reality to an extent. Whereas this is just, it's like jumping the shark kind of situation for Only Fools and Horses, the ending of this episode.
Yeah. But hopefully we can just pull out a lot of the good stuff and not focus too much on it. But
there's some great stuff in this episode, like you said. Yeah.
Okay.
So should we go ahead and start the episode breakdown?
Okay, so the first shot we see is of a quiet flat, and Uncle Albert comes out of the kitchen in his dressing gown carrying the teapot. And now it looks like Del might still be selling those Kylie Minogue LPs, because Albert is singing Step Back in Time by Kylie Minogue as he comes over to the table. And it does specifically say that in the script. So I wonder if Buster Merrifield had to listen to that song a few times to get to get it down. But
probably.
Yeah. So the scene cuts straight away into these new interconnecting hallways. Now, we discussed these sets in our Series 6 wrap episode.
Yeah.
Here we see the door to Del's bedroom, bright pink as you would expect, with a big Del 1 sign on the door. And Raquel comes out in her robe, and she's trying to sneak to the bathroom to keep up the pretense that she and Del are not sharing a room yet. But she hesitates, and Del comes out and tries to encourage her, but she shoves him back.
He doesn't know I'm staying in here with you. He still thinks I sleep in Rodney's old room, and Rodney sleeps on the settee. We'll have to tell him the truth, Del.
All right, sweetheart. If it makes you happy, you tell him.
Me? I ain't telling him. It's embarrassing. He's your uncle. You tell him.
All right, I'll tell him. What's the matter with you? He don't bother me, honestly. Get back, he's coming.
So I think this is pretty cute, to be honest, like Del being a little embarrassed and rushing away from Albert. It's almost like Albert is the parent here, which is funny because he's never really portrayed that way before, but it's a little bit like
I wrote that down about this whole scene. I said Albert's like a mother, like calling in sick for Rodney and all this sort of stuff. He's like the mom, making them breakfast, Yeah. I also said it's funny seeing people who are of this age being this embarrassed about sex.
Yeah, and actually, I like the way that they do this because, Del is older than you might be normally in this circumstance, but it's kind of sweet the way that John Sullivan has flipped it round to have Del's new relationship beginning now, and he's doing all of those things as if it's the first time Del's ever had a woman sleep the night or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like taking him back to like an innocent phase that maybe he never really had, because when he was younger, it does show in Rock and Chips that he like had a lot of girlfriends and stuff, but I don't think you ever saw them like sleeping at the house, and I don't think he ever really had to answer to like an older family member, and it's a little bit like he's doing that now, which is kind of sweet, and he's embarrassed in front of Albert. So, and
Raquel's playing into that as well, so she's the same, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. And I know we've heard of Del talk of him living with women, but we as the audience have never seen that unless you count Pauline, which I don't really, because Pauline, you didn't really see much of that. That was just such a quick episode, and it wasn't really, the characters were not fully developed.
But they did make it very clear, though, that Del was having sex with her, and he wasn't sort of bashful about talking about that in front of Grandad and Rodney in that episode. So
exactly,
it's like he got more and more sweet about it as he got older.
Yeah, this is a lot more like almost relatable to a younger audience in a way. This whole like, it's almost as if it's his first relationship, which, you know, say we know it's not, but we're exploring this because of how he feels about Raquel. It's actually kind of sweet that it does seem like the first time, which I think is really nice. So
Yeah.
So here we see inside Del's bedroom for the first time in this shot, and we don't see much in this episode. We get this a lot more in The Chance of a Lunchtime, but there are, I did notice 3 trophies on the table by the door, so I thought that was quite interesting. I wonder what Del's trophies are for, but then it could be he just bought them, right? It's like...
Yeah, like his swimming certificate.
Yeah. But it ain't his.
But it ain't his.
And he's got an award for industry plaque. Yeah, I was there when you sold it. So anyway, Albert knocks on the door to Del's bedroom to give him a cup of tea and his papers, and then he tries to knock on Rodney's room to give Raquel her tea, ultimately leaving it on the ground outside the door.
Mhm.
Can you tell what the sign says on Rodney's bedroom door? I couldn't see on my laptop.
Oh, I didn't look. I just noticed the Del one.
Yeah, so there's a sign on the bathroom door that says bathroom. Unfortunately, it doesn't say
for you to pee.
anymore.
One of my favorite signs.
Del's sign is obvious, but if anybody can see what it says on Rodney's room, and you get another chance in The Chance of a Lunchtime to see, and I tried watching my DVD on my big TV and on my laptop, and I can't read it. It's too blurry. So if anybody can tell me what it says, it looks like there's a sign that has like 2 lines of writing. So I'm like, what does it say on Rodney's door?
Probably just says something really boring like Rodney's room.
Yeah, maybe, but I feel like they're a little bit old to have signs on their bedroom doors, but still.
I feel like they don't redecorate often though, to the point where they take things off and change things around.
Now we cut to the breakfast table, and Del is struggling with his grapefruit. He gets it in his eye, and Albert comes in. Here we see the beginnings of Raquel's attempts to get Del to eat more healthily. This is an ongoing storyline because Del mentions something smells good, and Albert is cooking himself a fry-up. He asks Del if he wants anything.
Yes, do us a fry-up, will you? But look lively, because I don't want Raquel's in. She's into this high-fibre cobblers.
It's funny that Del thought Albert could cook a fry-up and he could eat it before Raquel made it to the table. I think that's pretty funny.
No.
Like, how long does he think
What did
Raquel's
he do
gonna
to her
be?
last night?
Yeah. So also we see here that Del has not been keeping up with his health advice from Dr. Medders from Sickness and Wealth, but of course he hasn't. It would be kind of boring if Del was all Mr. Health Kick for the rest of the series.
Yes. That wouldn't be very in character, would it?
No. So now the conversation turns to Rodney, and Albert sets up a lot of stuff for the episode's story here. We've already seen that Rodney is apparently still there since his bed is still on the sofa, and Raquel has confirmed that Rodney's still sleeping there, but Albert does confirm that and says that he's come back to live there from the end of Rodney Come Home. So
Yeah.
this is just 5 days later. We saw Rodney leave at the end of Rodney Come Home. So we're seeing that the storyline set up for Series 7. He's back at the flat. And Albert is very concerned about Rodney's boozing. And now Del is kind of brushing it off and just saying, you know, whatever about it. But he was very concerned at the end of Rodney Come Home. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They're just trying to show that Albert is particularly concerned in this scene.
Mother Albert.
Yeah. So we might have discussed this already in Rodney Come Home, but I think it's important to highlight here that I'm sure it was a huge factor for John Sullivan that he had to find a way in the series to get Rodney back to the flat and back to Trotter's independent traders, because he worked hard to move Rodney forward in life. And he had all those sad moments and little problems where he felt like Rodney was leaving Del alone. But, you know, without him and Cassandra's marriage problems, I'm not really sure what the storylines would have been for Series 7, because they needed Rodney back with Del somehow. They had to have him lose his job or pull away from his marriage somewhat. Otherwise, it would have been just a sitcom about 2 relationships, right?
Yeah, which some people would argue it did kind of end up as.
Yeah, no matter what, you can't avoid the fact that it is a lot more about their romantic relationships now than their brotherly relationship. But having Rodney at least back in the flat allows for more Trotter's independent traders antics to continue. If Rodney had still just been living with Cassandra, although we do see that in the future, I guess the key is Rodney has to be working with Del for the storylines to continue.
Yeah, that's what it is. I agree. It's the fact that they have to be working together that makes it so that we see them together without the girls there.
Because think of like Mother Nature's Son and the 1996 trilogy. He's living with Cassandra and everything's fine.
Although arguably in Heroes and Villains, one of the best moments is when Cassandra and Raquel are both away, right? And then Del and Rodney go to the fancy dress party.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's not, there's no getting away from the fact that a lot of people think that the introduction of the female characters was the beginning of the end for the show. But, you know, then on the same lines, a lot of people think Series 6 is the best series. I guess Rodney was still living with Del throughout the whole of Series 6. He was just dating Cassandra.
Yeah, to be fair, Cassandra was a very small part in Series 6. She wasn't sort of dominating, with the exception of probably the unlucky winner is.
Yeah.
Which was still about Del winding Rodney up. It just so happened that Cassandra was also there. I think that, yeah, it's mostly still about the brothers and their relationship.
Yeah, I mean, and at this point, it might be worth pointing this out. We'll talk about this as we go through, but Gwyneth Strong is barely in Series 7.
Yeah.
She's in Rodney Come Home more, but every other episode, she might be in a scene. And it's funny because she's discussed so much and she's such a huge, like, presence in Rodney's attitude and they talk about her all the way through this episode, but she's not in it. And like, I was expecting to see some huge notes saying like, oh, Gwyneth Strong's availability or whatever, there was a problem, or maybe she was having a baby or something in real life. I can't find any reason why, but she's really not in this series much at all.
Maybe John Sullivan just felt that he'd already seen what the problems were in the relationship by this point in Rodney Come Home, and therefore we didn't need to see the same argument over and over and over again.
Yeah, but
maybe that's why.
That's the problem. There isn't like any much variation in what the problem is with Rodney and Cassandra.
No.
And we'll go on to discuss this more as this episode goes on. But also, you've got, you know, Raquel heavy series. She's in a lot.
Yeah, that's
She's
true.
in almost every scene at the flat. Now you've got all of this Del and Raquel dynamic. I wonder if he's like, well, we don't need to keep, because every time they bring Cassandra in as well, you know, they've got to use the other set, or it's got to be somewhere else. Except in He Ain't Heavy, He's My Uncle, where they randomly bring her around to the flat.
Yeah.
But I think that's more of the problem, is that she's not naturally at Nelson Mandela, so she's just not in it as much. But I do find it oddly strange in this episode how much she's talked about, and she's not in it at all.
I think you're right about the fact that she doesn't tend to be in the Nag's Head and she doesn't tend to be around the flat. Probably causes some problems with putting her in scenes because she has to have a reason to be there. Like you said, obviously visiting Albert after he got beaten up is a good reason for her to come round to the flat, but there aren't many other reasons and excuses they can think of to put her in those two locations. I mean, we know how she feels about the Nag's Head because she makes a joke about it, you know? So
yeah, and maybe it's all deliberate just to show the distance between Cassandra and Rodney's life. But I feel like it's more because time didn't allow, because of the amount of Raquel we now have in this series. Probably is a big factor. So
Could be.
Anyway, let's go back to the scene. So they mentioned the villa in Spain, which is a great way to get Cassandra away. And I do remember this villa comes back in the final trilogy, but this is definitely the first time it gets mentioned. So you think Cassandra would have mentioned it when they were going to Spain in The Unlucky Winner Is, but
you would. Maybe they didn't go to the same part of Spain.
What are you talking about? Spain's tiny. I'm just kidding. So Albert sets up a little bit more of the story here, lets us know that Cassandra has gone to live in a foreign country to get away from all of it. So maybe we already get the feeling here that she's not going to be in the episode, but we don't know that yet. So here, Del says that he's going out with Alan tonight, and he does mention here that Alan is now teetotal, which is a bit strange, but that's a new development for Alan. No more scotch.
I feel like that's a setup for the joke later.
I think so too. I think the whole teetotal thing is just to set up that one joke, but that's fine.
But it's such a great joke. Who cares?
So he says that going out with Alan is like going out with Betty Ford. So I believe that's just a reference to Betty Ford, the first lady of the US from the 1970s, and she struggled with alcoholism and substance abuse. So
yeah, the Betty Ford Clinic, right?
Right, exactly. So yeah, a bit of a reference there. So Albert says Rodney was very confused when he came in last night.
Confused as a newt.
I don't know why that's so funny, the way he delivers that
No, it
line,
is really. Just because it's so flippant. It's like, yeah, confused as a newt.
But he does bring up the sofa bed, which gives Del the chance to awkwardly broach the subject of Raquel sleeping in his room with him. Now, I think this bit is really funny.
So do
the
I.
comic timing with Albert leaving the room and Del like thinking that it's over and he got the message, and then Albert just asking
Where?
another question is so great.
She slept somewhere else.
Oh, I see. Where?
I've got to say, that joke, I've always wondered, because of the physical timing. Albert's not in the room. Was Buster Merrifield given like a screen to look at so he could see David Jason going to eat and then he said it? Because that timing is too perfect for them. If they couldn't see each other, how on earth did he know? Or did they have like a counting system, I wonder, to make sure?
I would say either that or Buster Merrifield could walk straight off the set and look from the side. I don't know for sure, but...
Yeah, because it's perfect.
Yeah, I feel like that kitchen isn't the room. That's just the entrance to the kitchen. I could be wrong, but...
Yeah,
either way, maybe they did. Maybe David Jason, maybe they just rehearsed enough times to know exactly when to drink the tea.
Yeah, because like if you can count in your head, like 3, 4.
It is perfect
5,
the way
6,
he just
7.
like picks up the tea
Where?
and then he's like, where?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, so Albert finally clicks and he comes back into the room. I think he knew the whole time, but he's just winding Del up. So
Yeah, I said I love Albert deliberately misunderstanding where Raquel was sleeping.
Yeah, it's like deliberate, yeah.
Yeah.
And then so Albert confirms that she slept in with Del, and Del says,
Listen, don't you go and say nothing to her about it.
What, don't she know?
this is one of those moments
such a
that
great joke.
I was rewatching the episode and I was just in stitches.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Because it's very classic, just Del and Albert banter, and I can't help it. I just think it's so funny. Yeah. So
Yeah, I agree.
So I think we mentioned this ages ago, and I couldn't remember which episode it was, but this is it, where Del addresses Albert's laugh.
Blimey, that laugh of yours. Sounds like someone trying to push start a larder.
Again, another really classic line. So here Albert offers Del his fry-up, and Del takes it very quickly, but immediately has to trade it back because Raquel enters the room. So she jumps straight onto the healthy eating subject, letting Albert know it's rubbish. As Del points out, the Trotters have been eating that sort of cuisine for generations. And I think we're both really big fans of the next line from Albert.
My dad lived till he was 81.
81, so it's a good age, isn't it?
Weren't for him, he died.
Honestly, Albert is on fire in the scene. Every single line he comes out with is just absolute hilarity.
Yeah, it's true. And the
brilliant.
writing for Albert here is just really good. Yeah, you can't deny it. It might not be your favourite episode, but this is just such classic stuff.
Oh yeah,
so,
like I said, there's some parts in this I find amazing. It's true. And the first scene is one of them. I agree. This whole scene is great.
Yeah. So Del's pretending here that he agrees with Raquel, and unfortunately he's busted because he has some egg on his chin. So Raquel, it seems, is aware that Del has been told to keep off the fried food, so Dr. Meadows' advice is still on the radar at least. And he tells Raquel that he knows that she has his best interests at heart, and they go to head out. And just as Del heads out through the door, he says,
Albert, I'll see you later. And you know what you can do with that rubbish, don't you, eh? Look at it. Put it in the oven. Put it in the oven.
So, yeah, I was going to say that, like, I know we're going through it right now and we're pointing out all these lines, but this episode's probably got some of our most quoted stuff in it.
Yes, agreed.
We always say all of this stuff. The good age, wasn't it? And the put it in the oven.
Yeah, there's loads. I agree. I noted that too. Also, oh dear, we've been cat off.
Yeah.
We always say that to each other.
How did you keep this place clean?
We didn't.
And you should have been. I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, there are some great one-liners in this episode. I completely agree.
Yeah, or just like one word for some reason that we've latched onto.
Yeah.
So Del leaves and Rodney enters, and I think everybody forgot and thought he'd just gone to work because they've talked about it so many times. But it's clear that he is nursing a hangover, and Rodney, to me, here has his old childish demeanor back. Asking Albert to call in sick for him is really childish.
Weird. Yeah, I said I've never known a grown man needing someone else to call in sick for them.
Yeah.
Like this is so weird to me when adults ask their parents to call in sick for them. It's like, surely you should be the one. At least you have to like put a voice on or something and do it yourself over the phone.
Yeah, your sick voice. Ugh.
Yeah. No matter what's wrong with you, you always sound like this.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a good thing he did ask Albert because the phone call is hilarious.
Good morning. I'm calling on behalf of Rodney Trotter. He won't be in today because he... Eh? What do you mean, who is he? Who are you?
Cheeky cow, you tell her I'm the head of the computer section.
He's the head of the computer section. Yeah, that's him.
I love Albert's question. Who are you?
Yeah, me too. I also would love to know what the woman on the other end of the phone said about Rodney, what the description was.
That too, yeah. So Rodney is not happy at all with Albert's attempt to call off sick.
All right?
All right? What do you mean, all right? What'd you tell her I had a bellyache for?
Well, that's what you got, innit?
No, it is not.
You said you had an ache.
I have.
In your belly?
Yes.
Well, ain't that a bellyache?
No.
Well, I must have got the wrong end of the stick, son.
A bellyache is what you have when you're trying to get out of school sports day. Heads of computer sections have viral conditions.
Well, whatever it was, they know you won't be into work today.
I don't think I can go to work ever again.
So Del comes back and sees that Rodney has not gone to work. And he does start to lecture Rodney about the drinking here. I kind of think it doesn't seem too stern, though. It's almost jokey.
Yeah, I agree. He kind of seems to let him off the hook pretty easily.
Yeah, it's like there's an element of understanding in the way that he talks to him, but it's probably likely due to Rodney's somewhat defeatist attitude. He's down on himself.
Yeah, true.
But Del says,
Have you looked at yourself in the mirror this morning? Because you certainly ain't the fairest in the land. You look as though you just come back from a Club 1830 trip to Chernobyl.
Yeah, well, Chernobyl's not too far from the truth. My love life has taken on a distinctly Russian ambience. Freezing bloody cold and the goods rarely turn up.
so here Albert starts another story with during the war, it's staple now, and he talks about the women in Russia being hot stuff. Del ends here by saying, you could have a point, Rodney. Have you seen that love bite on Gorbachev's head?
The Gorbachev forehead jokes were so rife in the 90s. Like, there's so many of them. I know there's like at least one in Saved by the Bell. I remember there's one because talking about wrestling. I think there's one in Friends at some point as well. Like, everyone was making these Gorbachev head jokes. There's definitely one in The Simpsons.
It's a classic thing to make fun of, isn't it? Somebody's appearance. It's very 90s of them, or very 80s and 90s, yeah.
I also have to agree with Albert here because every single Russian girl I've ever met was unbelievably gorgeous. So
that's the thing. Like, I remember Rodney back in From Prussia with Love. Like, oh, she's Swedish. Like,
yeah.
in general, I don't know. They make a lot of jokes about women of other countries being manly. There's a joke about the Australians as well, isn't there? Well, the men.
So are the women.
These jokes are not accurate at all. No, I mean, yeah, Russian women in general are beautiful women. I mean, I think it's just that like old kind of stereotype, yeah, but it's not true. It's not rooted in truth. So Del is actually looking for his keys. That's why he's back. I thought that he came back just to eat the fry-up. But then I'm like, did he just leave Raquel down in the van?
Yeah.
But she's not even in the van because he doesn't even have the keys, right?
Yeah, just left her outside.
So she's just waiting downstairs. So he asks for help looking. He asks Albert to iron his shirt for his drinks with Alan. So Rodney's surprised that Del is meeting up with Alan, as perhaps he should be. And Del does warn him that he feels like Rodney's pushing his loyalty too far.
Yeah.
Rodney insists that he is genuinely ill, but I think they all see through it. It's just a hangover.
Yeah.
Del asks him here if he has the 2 bob bits, which I think is Cockney rhyming slang for the shits, if I'm correct.
That sounds about right. And of course it comes back in the next scene as well.
It's also probably worth noting a running theme here, and it happened even before this, that they're all like, oh, watch out, Alan's not going to be happy with this. Alan has never given anybody any reason to think that he's scary or that he's going to fire Rodney or that he's angry with Rodney. There's never any example of that. He's always incredibly tolerant and patient, so I don't understand where this running theme of Alan's gonna be mad comes from.
Well, I guess they have to give some sort of potential consequence for Rodney calling in sick all the time, because most bosses, let's be fair, would have fired Rodney by now. You know, the only reason that Alan hasn't is because he's married to his daughter, I'm assuming. I mean, Alan did get a bit shirty with Rodney in the last episode, but only for like a second because he was only in it for a second. But even so, I guess Alan would be in a very difficult position. And honestly, this is like, I would never employ a family member for this reason, because it's impossible to fire them if things go wrong, you know, or you'd feel really bad about it, or it would cause problems, you know, if he fired Rodney. Cassandra might be happy about it right now, but as soon as they got back together, he'd have to give him the job back. It's just a very awkward situation.
That's the thing. I mean, he put himself in that position by employing Rodney after the beginning of their marriage, which we talked about back in Little Problems. It's not a good idea to work with your family members because, they could have gotten divorced, as it seems they do have marriage problems at this point. What's Alan going to do? If he fires Rodney, let's say they did get divorced, that he would have to give up his job, right? In theory.
In theory.
Yeah, it's just not a good position to be in.
I mean, Alan does give a reason in the scene when he has a drink with Del that he was hoping to leave the business to Rodney and Cassandra, but why would he leave it to Cassandra? She's never worked there. She doesn't know anything about the business.
Yeah, and that's not her career path. She works for the bank. But
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the same fear in Rodney Come Home. They really ham it up in this episode and the next one. That, oh God, that's Alan on the phone. He's not going to be happy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It must all happen off screen because Alan is the most chill person in the whole show.
Look how Rodney eventually does lose his job. He resigns.
Yeah.
Alan doesn't fire him.
And Alan is so nice, he doesn't even question why Rodney resigns. He's just like, all right, I accept.
Yeah, okay, you want to resign? I mean, he was probably like, thank God when he got that letter, but even so.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll come more to that later. So the scene ends with Rodney getting up to look around for his keys, and Del notices that Rodney is limping, and he does seem very worried here.
Hey, Rodney, listen, do you want me to phone and make an appointment at the doctor's for you?
No, I'll be all right.
Well, look at you. Look, you're limping.
Yeah, I know, my sock's soaking wet. Somebody left a mug of tea outside my bedroom door.
I always love these jokes from John Sullivan, the way that as an audience member, you forget completely. It's just one little detail and then it comes back and has consequences like 10 minutes later.
Yeah. Clever
I really
writing.
love that. Classic.
I agree.
But that's the end of that scene. Would you like to go over your notes now, dude?
I have very few because I already said a lot of them as I was going through. So
Okay.
I always love a bit of Albert singing. So it's great that we start with that. He's just very funny when he's singing, and we get some more of him singing in this episode as well.
Singing Kylie Minogue is hilarious.
Yeah. I just have a question about the Del 1 sign. Is that the same as the license plate on the Rolls Royce in Time in Our Hands?
I mean, it's the same words. It's not the same one.
I don't know. I just feel like it looks like it's the same. Like, I just wondered if that was like he took it off the bedroom door and put it on the Rolls Royce.
I think it's just too big to be the same one, but I could be wrong. I would have to watch the episodes side by side.
And I said it's funny seeing Albert delivering these specific newspapers to Del. Like,
yeah,
it's like he's Del's personal assistant at this point. And again, like I said, a mother of the household. This is the most motherly we've ever seen Albert be. And I love Albert's line.
What do you want for breakfast? Something healthy or something nice?
This is how I feel about food a lot of the time.
It's true, yeah. It can be a struggle.
It can be. I also love the line.
The doctor told Snow White to eat more fruit. We all know what happened to that poor old cow.
Yeah.
I'm going to use this next time someone tells me to eat more fruit.
Yeah.
And actually, I really like there's 2 Snow White references.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is.
In the scene, which is interesting. Yeah, that we get that. An unusual reference. And yeah, I just love the way the scene ends with Albert's intentional head wobble.
Yeah.
Talking about the cup of tea. So yeah, that's all I had for that scene. A great scene, though.
Okay, so the next scene moves on to the location shoot of Boycie and Marlene's house, which, as we mentioned before, is a new house. I think we questioned back in Sleeping Dogs Lie if it's the same house, but it clearly isn't. I think we both just totally forgot that it looks completely different. So, yeah, I think we forgot.
Yeah, we did.
This is a new Bristol location chosen for having a large, grand back garden to house the satellite dish. So this house was found by Adrian Pegg, and its location is Druid Stoke Avenue in Stoke Bishop. This scene, including all the Bronco stuff, was all shot on Wednesday, the 10th of October, 1990. We get all this information from the production diaries provided to us by friend of the podcast, Mike Jones.
Hello, Mike.
Hi, Mike. So we see this lovely house with a work truck parked in front. We don't know it yet, but we see Bronco is carrying in and out the ladders. Then we cut across to Boycie, and this moment here, the beginning of this scene, really is the last time that we see Duke.
Yeah.
So Boycie comes out in his dressing gown and tells Duke to get in that bloody house. So in honor of Dukey's last appearance, I have a little anecdote here from John Challis, and this was from the official Inside Storybook by Steve Clark. This is a quote from John Challis. The Great Dane playing Duke was actually quite lazy, and he didn't do that much bounding around, and his trainer was desperately trying to get him up, moving around, rather than just lying down. So then, the sound people needed some slobbering noises from the dog, so the guy with the boom mic knelt down to record them by Duke, and he saw the furry cover on the mic and leapt on it and like savaged it, which reduced everybody to hysterics. So I thought that was a really funny little story.
Aw,
about
that's so
Duke.
cute.
And I've never read anywhere the name of the Great Dane that played Duke, so I would love to know that if anybody happens to know that piece of trivia. That would be very interesting to me.
Oh, yeah.
I hate just calling him Duke or the Great Dane.
Yeah, because usually it says in the credits, doesn't it, if a dog is played by, like, what the name of the dog is. So
I always remember Beethoven, the dog was played by, in the first one, was played by a dog called Chris. And I thought that was the funniest name ever for a dog. Chris. It's funny when
That is
people call
cute.
their animals like just normal human names, but they're
Yeah,
very
that's
like
true.
generic. Yeah, like names.
Well, saying that, I mean, you have a cat called Roy, and I have a cat called May. So
Yeah, but so my cat Roy is named after our uncle Roy, and my dog
Yeah.
Dylan is Bob Dylan. So it's not just, yeah, maybe there's a reason that dog was called Chris, but Chris to me just sounds like a very regular name. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Let us know your pets' names in the comments. And so Boise goes over to his satellite dish to mess with it, and Marlene approaches with baby Tyler in the pram. Now, this gets quite a laugh from the audience because Tyler is dressed like Marlene in the cute little outfit, the same style.
that is adorable.
But it has little ears on it, which is really cute. So.
Yeah.
She's not too pleased that Boise is messing around with the satellite because it seems they are supposed to be going out for the day. But Boise says that there is an engineer coming round to look at the satellite dish. And he tries to explain that the reason he has it, and I guess we learn here that he's still selling his pirate tapes because now he's using the dish to pick up films from foreign countries to sell to his more discerning clients.
You mean perverts?
Get medical about it, yeah.
Marlene never misses a trick. She always knows exactly what's going on, which I love.
Yeah, of course.
So Boise's trying to act snobby here about how high-tech the satellite dish, and Marlene calls him out.
This is not a toy, Marlene. You are looking at £2,000 worth of state-of-the-art technology.
You never paid £2,000 for that. You got it hooky.
Marlene, for God's sake. We've got a chief inspector living next door.
I know. He was the one you got it off of.
So we hear Bronco's voice in the distance, and Marlene tells Boise to pay him fair and square for the work that he's done. She tells him to be nice right before he tries to be sweet with little Tyler, and this is like one of my favourite little moments of the episode.
OK, I'll be nice to him. He's a little
Don't get your face too close. It scares him.
I also love the face that he pulls like straight after that. It's like, yeah, that would scare a kid. Evil face.
So Boise goes off to talk to Bronco, and here we get to see Ron Aldridge, as discussed a little in the trivia. Before being in Only Fools and Horses, Aldridge had been in Minder and London's Burning. Afterwards, he was in The Bill and EastEnders. And I think I saw a couple of recent convention appearances, so he is somebody that you can meet at the events.
Aww.
And there are a few quotes from the Lovely Jubbly book here regarding the character of Bronco. So John Sullivan said, "For the storyline for the satellite dish to work, I had to introduce Marlene's slightly strange brother Bronco. He's known for stealing the strangest things in the world. He was caught speeding in a JCB on Streatham High Street, trying to outrun a police car. Aldridge is quoted as saying, 'I wanted to be in Only Fools because I was such a fan.' With Bronco, there is a truly wonderful character breakdown in the script that helped me understand a bit about him. It said, if Bronco played Trivial Pursuits with Trigger, he would win, but only just." So that is how
That's
they
a great description.
describe Bronco in the script. So back to the story. Boise is being unreasonable and he refuses to pay.
It looks as though someone's held an acid party in a Dulux warehouse.
He's not happy, or at least he's saying he's not happy with the standard of work done by Bronco. And at this point, we don't actually know Bronco's name,
No.
and we don't know that he is related to Marlene. So. But he's not happy about being called a cowboy.
No one's ever called me that before. I am not a cowboy.
Bronco!
So here is Del Boy. Del Boy rolls up in his car, and he looks like he knows this guy, this painter decorator. He knows Bronco.
Yeah.
So the more the conversation continues, the more we learn. Del has a history with him. He knows his partner. He knows his kid.
Yeah.
A little Kylie. Is that a reference to Kylie Minogue? That's what I think.
wonder.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw this in here because I just watched the Netflix documentary about Kylie Minogue, and just because it's interesting. Yeah. And
Oh, really?
I actually thought, I feel really sorry for Kylie Minogue in many cases. It seems like she was so, kind of bullied by the UK. I don't know why she wanted to come to England. I really don't. So she had a huge following.
I mean, it's quite common, isn't it, for Australian talents and British talents to kind of sort of cross between the two cultures because we were so closely related. Like if you were big on TV in the UK, you're probably big in Australia. It's like Home and Away and Neighbours in the UK.
Well, yeah, it was Neighbours that got her into the limelight in the UK, and her music career took off because everybody knew who she was because of Neighbours.
Yeah.
But I think in her early days, like the late 80s, early 90s, all of her music was just written for her, and she was told what to do and how to act and stuff. So that's why a lot of her stuff from these early days was very manufactured and considered to be crap, like the sort of crap Del would sell. Mm-hmm. But later on, she got the chance to write and produce and stuff her own stuff. So it's not as bad. And that's why she's still in the limelight now. She's had a very long career. But I thought I would just throw that in because I watched the documentary and I thought it was pretty interesting. I'm not sponsored by Netflix, but I wish I was.
Oh, God, if we were, we'd be making a lot of money. Coming soon, the Long Live Hooky Street podcast documentary.
Yeah, and actually it might be a good time to get on board with Netflix because they just started doing their own produced podcasts. They have like a podcast section now where they play just podcasts. So, hey, Netflix. And maybe Netflix wants to get Only Fools and Horses and screen it and then people can do a watch along.
Oh, that's a great idea. Anyone from Netflix listening, get in touch.
I was going to do a quote from South Park, but I don't think anybody would get it.
What does it do? Do it anyway.
There's a whole episode about Netflix where like they'll put anything on. So like you call Netflix and they answer the phone.
Netflix, you're greenlit.
I don't think it's true anymore. So Bronco has been evicted from his flat and is living in a B&B at Gatwick Airport at the end of the main runway. So obviously now this conversation is setting up some sort of story for later. I can only imagine, right? If you're watching it for the first time, why else would you need to know all this? So Bronco is telling Del how everything has been going wrong for him lately. He does give Del his card here and Del throws it away. That comes back later.
Yeah.
He files it behind Boyce's geraniums.
To be fair, you would though after he's just said all these things that have gone wrong.
Yeah. Here's my card in case you want. Last night
have your house catch on fire after I've rewired it or have the roof collapse.
So I feel really bad for Bronco in this scene. He hasn't had much luck lately, and this is when Del lets us know that he's actually been in jail. But it was actually Bronco's fault.
And why did I go away?
Because you have this tendency to nick very silly things. I mean, you were caught speeding down Streatham High Street in a knocked-off JCB. Look, Bronco, I know you got these, problems.
What do you mean, problems?
Well, that psychiatrist reckoned you suffered from some sort of paranoia, didn't he?
You can't take any notice of him, Del. He's always had it in for me.
That's such a great line.
Yeah, it is. I love Del's reactions. Oh, yeah, I never thought of that.
So this interaction ends with a very nice gesture from Del. He offers him money to tide him over, which is the heart of the Del character coming back here again. And I always love to see it. I love to see Del trying to help out his friends, his neighbours, his co-workers. So
he's a good guy.
Yeah. So Bronco leaves at this point and Boyce comes back outside. Del immediately tells Boyce he knows that he refused to pay Bronco, and Boyce makes excuses about how it's a tactic to get a discount. Del is trying to make Bronco's case here, and Boyce says,
"Does this look like the Social Security to you? I mean, who is he anyway?"
He's your brother-in-law.
So this actually doesn't get revealed until the end of the scene. So Bronco is Marlene's brother. I don't know why Marlene didn't just pay him, but I suppose it was tradition that Boyce
Yeah, I have questions about that as well. Yeah.
But Boyce is like this even with his family members, so that's why he's so rich from being so tight.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of in-laws, I'll use the same segue as the episode does. Boyce is taking full advantage of Rodney's apparent discount on printing at the workshop now. If we remember in Rodney Come Home, Alan had said he wanted to put a stop to it, but obviously that was unsuccessful. Not only is Del getting the cheap printing, he's flogging it to all his friends. And Boyce is concerned that this is going to come to an end soon.
I always have faith in that boy.
Yeah, so did I. You've ordered a lot of print this time, haven't you?
Yeah, I thought I'd get in quick before Rodney gets the sack.
Turns out he was right.
Yeah. So that's the end of that scene. What notes do you have, dude?
I said Boyce's looking more and more like a Bond villain every time we see him. Really in that dressing gown and everything. It's just proper like a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, mainly talking about how Marlene isn't helping her brother. obviously her brother, okay, fair enough, maybe they're not that close, but close enough to give him a job redecorating. But also, what about Marlene's niece and nephew? I would have thought that they would have been really important to Marlene because we know she loves kids. I'd have thought that even if she didn't want to help out Bronco, she would be helping out the kids, knowing that they've like lost their home and they're living in like a B&B. I really am surprised that Marlene wouldn't help out. Yeah, that's very out of character for her. Unless she doesn't know, but it does seem like Bronco's pretty free in telling everyone about this. I mean, he certainly tells Del without any problem. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just a bit strange.
Maybe this is a dynamic of how Boise is the master of the house. He wouldn't allow Bronco and the family to move in. But I feel like Marlene does have some control. Yeah. It's just not an area of the story that's explored much.
No, I mean, understandably. I wonder why they chose to make Bronco Marlene's brother. I mean, what real importance does it have to the story? Because this is the only time that we see her deal with Boise. Sorry, we see him deal with Boise. Then it's all Del and Bronco dealing with each other. So I don't really understand why that matters. Maybe to make it look like he was mad at Boise, so he stole his statelite dish. But at the same time, that could have just been any worker who didn't like Boise, who stole, that's what we're supposed to think, right? Before it's revealed that it isn't Boise's that Del has on his balcony.
Yeah.
So
you see this happen twice in this whole series. It doesn't matter that Dora is Marlene's mum either.
No.
But it's just a nice way to link, I guess, the characters together. But yeah, it doesn't matter, really.
I mean, for Marlene's mom, it makes a little bit more sense because, it sort of gives her the motivation to be upset that night and sort of have these great interactions with Albert and the making fun of the whole, like, Albert's trying to bed your mom thing on the night. But I can't really think of what relevance it brings to the story here that Marlene and Bronco are brother and sister, to be honest.
Can anybody tell us in the comments if Bronco appears in the green grass? Maybe he does.
Yeah, maybe. And yeah, I said it's setting up the reveal at the end of the episode when Del mentions you have this tendency to nick very silly things.
Yeah.
But again, why would Del get involved with Bronco? Yeah, I have a question about that later.
But Del always makes silly decisions.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I had for this scene anyway, dude.
Okay, so we're moving on to the Nag's Head now. So this is the first scene in the episode in the Nag's Head. The scene starts with a classic, Albert playing one of our favourite songs on the piano. It says in the script that no one is paying attention, but I think they must have decided to have this one lady be like a super fan here because it's so sweet.
Oh, I love that.
Mike and Trigger are watching from the bar and Mike says,
I've been thinking about getting one of them electric pianos.
Yeah, they sound a lot better, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. And you can switch them off.
I really love the way that Trigger looks over and points at Albert here and he's like, he's singing, as if Mike doesn't know. Does he know you banned him? Yeah.
It is really cute, though. You're right. That super fan that he's singing to.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Albert's current girlfriend now that he's broken up with Elsie.
Yeah, this is a series we said they never mention Elsie in Series 7, but he does go after Dora soon, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, this woman makes a huge deal as Albert finishes a song, which is very sweet. And I thought I'd add in a note here about the song. So Red Sails in the Sunset was written in 1935 by Hugh Williams and Jimmy Kennedy. And it was recorded by many popular artists over the years, even Louis Armstrong in 1936. So Del arrives in a midnight pink shirt, previously ironed by Albert, and he's there for his drinks with Alan. So he orders a peach daiquiri and a chipolata sandwich, and soon after, Alan arrives. He says that Pam just phoned from the villa, so we do get a reminder that Cassandra is over there with her mom. And Alan just orders a tomato juice and they head over to a small table in the middle of the pub. Now, I noticed here that Albert is actually in the background for this whole scene, hanging out at a table with that woman and a bunch of other people. So I think that's kind of nice. It's like Albert's hanging out with his friends here.
Yeah, because he doesn't get involved in the scene, does he, at all?
No, but he's just there and it's kind of nice. Yeah, he's just sitting with his mates.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're playing cards or something. So
maybe Knock Knock is coming soon.
Knock, knock, knock them out. So soon it materializes that Alan asks to meet with Del. So I'm not sure if we knew that before. I thought maybe Del was trying to get together with Alan, but yeah, Alan...
I think Del just said he was meeting him. I don't think he said that Alan asked to meet him.
Right. So, but Del is actually trying to steer the conversation to the family villa because he's family now. So
yes,
it's quite funny. And Alan is not taking the bait. I really love this line here, though, that Del says when he says,
when Cassandra married a trotter, you all became trotters. Is it? Oh, yes. Well, maybe not in the eyes of the law, but certainly in the eyes of my heart. Yes. Alan, you're family now. Yeah. What's mine is yours. I reckon that works the other way around and all, doesn't it, mate? About this villa of yours, I was wondering if I could...
What's happened to Rodney today?
So Alan is trying to actually pry about maybe was Rodney really ill today or not? That's the question. So Del is loyal to a fault here. He's trying hard to make sure that Alan thinks that Rodney actually was ill, even though Del knows the truth.
Yeah.
And it's actually Mike here that gives the game away because he overhears the conversation and he lets slip that Rodney was down the pub last night pretending to be a Ninja Turtle. And actually, I'll just say this bit now. We just learned that Ninja Turtles only just premiered in 1990, right, in the UK.
Yeah.
But we didn't call it Ninja Turtles here. We called it Hero Turtles. Did you know the reason for that?
No, I didn't. I was confused when you asked me to change it because when I was reading out the news about the TV shows, I said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you said Hero Turtles. And I read it wrong.
Right. This is really... My husband thinks this is hilarious that it's called Hero Turtles because in America it's called Ninja. And they changed the name for the UK audience. And it's not just UK, it's other countries in Europe too. But it's regional censorship. The word ninja is deemed too violent by television censors in the UK. And the censorship went beyond the title. They actually changed Michelangelo's weapons because nunchucks are illegal in the UK. So they were edited out of all the European intro sequences and replaced with a grappling hook, which is totally safe, obviously.
Yeah, much better.
And the lyrics have changed. They changed the lyrics to every time it says ninja, it says hero. And it's just absolutely hilarious, really, when you think about it. But I do wonder why.
God, I never knew any of that.
It's in America. If you hear Hero Turtles, everybody will laugh at you. What are you talking about heroes? But they just released a new movie not long ago I went to see. And it's Ninja, yeah. But why does Mike say ninja? That's my thought. Maybe he knew the American version.
Well, that is the correct name, isn't it?
It
Hero
is.
is the changed name, so maybe that's why it's Ninja, because maybe John Sullivan also knew that it was changed for censorship reasons.
Yeah, and I forgot actually the line that Trigger says in the moment before this, which I really love and I wanted to feature.
Yeah, well, there was Rodney, Mickey Pearce, Jevon, dancing and poncing about, pretending to be Ninja Turtles. It's all had far too much to drink.
Don't want that sort of thing in a pub, do you?
No, you don't.
I love that line. I forgot to add that in. So.
Yeah, that's very funny.
Anyway, Mike says ninja and Alan finds out that Rodney was down there last night with his friends getting drunk. So he's not taking any more of the bullshit and he tells Del it's cards on the table time. This is why he wanted to talk to him. And Del is finally frank and just said Rodney's drinking too much and that's why he's been off work so much. So Del admits here that the marriage issues are causing the problems.
Yeah.
And it materializes here, like you said earlier, that Alan is talking about his plans long term. He had actually thought that he could leave the business to Rodney and Cassandra. Yeah, and he thought maybe now he's starting to doubt that they can handle it. He says him and Pam were planning to settle down at the villa. And Del says he will always be around to help out. Then Alan says,
Hey, you and I are about the same age, Del, so by that time you'll be retired too.
Oh, yeah, cool. Never thought of that. Yeah, I'll be able to come over and spend a few months with you and Pam at the villa, wouldn't I?
Oh yeah. Wait till I tell her.
I think that line about Pam is absolutely hilarious. Just the look on Alan's face.
Yeah, so do I. I can really picture her face.
So Alan reiterates here again that he's not drinking, and we get another reminder of that just before Mike calls Del over to the bar. For some strange reason, Bronco is calling Del at the Nag's Head. So
yeah,
Del heads over to the bar to take the call, and he leaves Alan behind to talk to Trigger and Mike. Now, this moment for me is such a classic Trigger moment. He starts a seemingly unrelated story about a woman he had been seeing at the council, a real high flyer. And Mike and Alan listen as Trigger describes how she mentioned a little hotel down on Henley on Thames and said,
How about spending a weekend there?
Now there's a hilariously long pause here where Mike and Alan are waiting for Trigger to continue. And we can conveniently hear Del's dialogue with Bronco in this gap.
Yes.
So I know it's set up this way, but it is really funny the way the Trigger just stops and takes a really long pause.
I love his sort of, smug drink, sort of with like the wink while he's taking the long pause.
Yeah. And Dell's saying something about coming over to look at something that Bronco's talking about, so we don't know what that is yet.
Yeah.
So back to Trigger, and Mike asks,
What happened? Was it a nice weekend?
Yeah, at least I thought it was. But she didn't want to see me no more after it.
Oh, well, I don't like to pry, Trig, but... No. It's a bit personal.
Hang on, Bronco. Trig, what happened?
She got jealous. I heard later, through friends, that she wanted to go with me.
I'll have a large scotch, Mike.
so that is the end of that scene. Any notes, dude?
First of all, I just want to say, I don't think that Albert's piano playing is bad. I know that that's the whole joke, that he's not meant to be able to play, but actually I think he plays this one song that he plays very well.
I agree.
I also would have loved to have seen the Ninja Turtles routine from Mickey, Jevon and Rodney. I would have loved to have seen that scene. Just a glimpse of it would have been very, very funny, because I bet that was hilarious. And I also like Albert singing. He does it so passionately, and he's serenading his lady. It's lovely.
I like it too.
I had a question about the line when Dell describes Alan as a relative, and he seems very offended by the term. He sort of repeats it over and over, like relatives. And I was curious, because I thought Alan liked Dell. We know that Alan's wife, Pam, doesn't like Dell, and that's the joke, but Alan probably does think of Dell as a relative, right? Or he's like, family, yeah, like, I like you.
Yeah, this goes back to our discussion in Jolly Boy's outings. I think you said it seems like Alan has cooled off with his liking of Dell from Little Problems, and I didn't really observe that in Jolly Boy's outing. It seems like he has here cooled off a little bit.
Yeah, but then this is it. But then in Rodney Come Home, he's like, yeah, we should have dinner, you, me, Del, and Raquel. Like, he's fine again. And then suddenly here he's like, oh, it's like the writers can't quite make up their mind, because everybody else kind of treats Del like this. So maybe that's why they're just like, oh, we'll have Alan do that too. But actually, Alan likes Del, right?
It's just one writer, remember? It's always John Sullivan.
Sorry, what did I say? Writers.
I think it is actually a case of maybe it's supposed to reflect Alan's own, internal turmoil, I guess, about whether he likes Del, because he likes Del as a person, but as a family member it can be a bit tricky, because he seems angry in Rodney Come Home about Del's cheap printing.
Yeah,
he doesn't seem to have any menace towards Del in Jolly Boy's outing. He's actually supportive, but yeah, here he does act like relatives. What are you talking about? As if he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
He knows what Del means here. So yeah, I think it's just because to ham up the funny part of the scene that Del's trying to be like, yeah, we're family, the family villa. I think that's all it's really about.
Yeah, true.
I agree. I mean, it does seem like Alan goes back and forth, but maybe he does struggle with whether he likes Del or not, because if he's teetotal now, he probably will remember that a lot of his drinking problems were caused by Del in the last series. So.
Well, that's what I mean. Every single time he goes out with Del, he gets legless, which is one of the reasons that his wife hates Del as well.
Yeah, and that carries on.
Roughly translated, I can't wait to go down the next head and get legless with Del.
Take your time, Pam. We got to christen the baby first. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought that was interesting. And then I also said I was surprised that Del was lying for Rodney initially, because I actually would have thought that Del would have just been honest with Alan. It's not like he doesn't know that Rodney's doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And he clearly suspects. That's what the whole meeting's about. Like, oh, why was Rodney off? And this is just today. We're assuming Rodney's had quite a few days off work recently, and they weren't all viral infections or the 2 Bob bits. So I think that Alan must already know this about what's going on with Rodney, and he's just looking to Del for clarification. So there was no real reason for Del to lie, I guess.
I think it's just Del's natural not being a grass personality coming through, that's all.
Yeah, that's true. But again, I said when Alan found out that Rodney's drinking, most people would have been like, all right, the sack straight away. And Alan, the chillest guy in the world, was like, he didn't even hint that there'd be a consequence for this. He just was concerned, And actually, I just want to mention as well, because I don't think you did, about the little bit of physical comedy with Del accidentally licking the knife with the hot sauce on it.
Oh, yeah. I know. That is really funny.
That's really funny. He's mid conversation. He just goes, takes a drink. It's very funny.
Yeah, I do love that.
And I also love the way that Del describes dying. Fall off the perch in peace.
Oh yeah, fall off the perch. Oh,
falling off the perch. It's quite a funny way to describe death. The whole part with Trigger's story is amazing. The timing, all of the characters involved, everything, the facial expressions. I think it's quite funny when Trigger says she was a high flyer in the council. You had to go to her when you wanted a new broom. Does that mean that's where he got his heads and sticks from for the broom?
Yeah,
handles.
But he never got a new
handles
broom.
And heads.
This same old broom. Yeah.
But yeah, amazing ending to the scene. As you said, one of Trigger's most funny stories. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move back to Nelson Mandela House. Now, this scene begins with Raquel hoovering the flat. And I think this is quite significant because she's just moved in like a month ago at this point, but she is already establishing the role of the woman who now is changing the way they eat, and she's now doing all the housework. And it even seems that Albert is very pleased about this. He shuffles in and smiles and points over into the corner to tell Raquel that there's some more mud and dirt in the corner. So she's sort of replaced him in some ways as the cleaner. Del is trying to have a phone conversation and he can't hear his friend Leroy, so he asks Raquel,
Sweetheart, can you switch the J. Edgar off? I'm on the mobile blower.
So the term J. Edgar for the Hoover is obviously a reference to J. Edgar Hoover, the former director of the Bureau of Investigation and the FBI. But he is an American, and Americans don't refer to vacuum cleaners as Hoovers. So it is quite funny that they use an American term, but it is funny. I did just ask my husband while I was writing the script, I was like, do you ever call the vacuum cleaner the J. Edgar? And he was like, what?
Well, actually, yeah, I mean, I love how Del doesn't really call anything by its real name. I mean, I know that you said there's a channel of Americans that watch Only Fools and Horses episodes and sort of as a rewatch thing. And I can imagine there's so many terms that just completely go over their head. It's like the old dog's knackered. What? Telephone's not working.
Yeah, and I think Miami Twice definitely explores that a lot more. So it'll be interesting to see. I haven't actually noticed too many problems with the American rewatches not understanding. I think they get a lot of it from context, but yes, I mean, they wouldn't understand why maybe things are called certain things, and I'm sure plenty of people are happy to explain.
I've got to be honest, if someone came up to me, if I hadn't watched Only Fools and Horses and said the old dog's knackered, I wouldn't automatically think the telephone's broken.
No, but like I say, if you're watching the actual show, you can just infer, because he points at the Hoover and says, turn the J. Edgar off. I think it's obvious what he's talking about. And then, yeah, maybe you know that English people call the vacuum cleaner the Hoover. I don't know. It just depends on how much English wording you know.
Also the mobile blower, like, why blower?
Yeah. I found a huge variation in Americans understanding certain things I say and not others. It can be the weirdest little things like that I've over the years that I've said, and people look at me like, they also say that sometimes they can understand, like, for example, when you're getting on and off the motorway, they call it the on-ramp and we say slip road, right? Now I say slip road a couple of times and people say, well, we don't say that, but they know what I mean by a slip road because it's pretty obvious that I mean on-ramp. I think
one of the most confusing ones that I remember when I was doing the summer camp in America was lolly. They don't know what a lolly is.
A lolly.
Meaning an ice lolly. They don't get that at all, the popsicle thing. That was one of the most confusing because they have lollies for, you know, like their candies, never ice lollies. Like they'd never have like a frozen lolly like we do.
I don't know. There's so many. I mean, I could do a whole podcast on it, so I won't carry on talking about it.
And tune in next week for our podcast on Americanisms and Britishisms. Which is the correct word?
Yes, so I personally love the term J. Edgar for the Hoover. That's all I wrote here in my notes. So Del can't get a good enough signal to speak to Leroy, so he just switches the phone off and says,
"Oh dear, look, we've been cut off."
Which is one of our most popular quotes that we do whenever we're talking on the phone, along with, "You're coming through louder than a CV." Rubber duck. So here's another one that we always quote. So Raquel comes over to Del and says,
"Before I moved into this flat, how did you keep this place clean?"
We didn't.
No, it's just the "we didn't" part that we always say.
Yeah.
I don't really, again, know why. We just do all the time. But that's not true, though, is it? Because Albert did used to clean. I don't know about Rodney and Del.
I did write in my notes here, cleaning the Trotter flat is a bit like polishing a poo.
Yeah, I mean, cleaning and tidying are two different things. So, yes, it's never
true.
tidy, but it can be clean, for sure. So I think we've fully established now that Raquel is going to be the new cleaner of the flat, although Del asks her to take a break for a cup of tea, and this is where a somewhat cranky Rodney arrives home. He tells them that Alan has ordered him to pick up Cassandra from the airport. And he does say that Alan wasn't at work today because he had some sort of virus. So my guess is that this is a hint that he didn't just have one scotch last night and he's back on the booze.
Yeah, maybe that's why Alan sympathises with Rodney, because he's got the same problem. The same drink problem.
Because at first I forgot that he ordered a scotch at the end, and I thought he just got the idea of a viral infection from Rodney, but then I remembered that he orders the scotch, so it's like it hints that maybe he got drunk and then...
Yeah, Trigger got him drunk this time.
So Del and Raquel both think that this picking up Cassandra at the airport thing is a great idea, but Rodney is being a big baby about it.
I ain't talking to her. No, she weren't talking to me before she went away, so I ain't talking to her now.
Oh, grow up, Rodney.
It's got nothing to do with you, Raquel. Or you.
Hey, don't you ever pop at Raquel?
Well, just stay out of my life.
So Rodney has stormed off here into the kitchen, leaving Del and Raquel alone on the sofa, and that is when the doorbell rings, and it's Boise. And he has some fairly unkind words for Raquel.
Oh, it's Raquel. You look so different, fully clothed.
I suppose I've got to ask you in.
Yes, I want to get away as quick as possible. I've left the Mercedes parked downstairs. You know what they're like on this estate. They'd have the wheels off a jumbo if it flew too low.
Do you think that's a hint for later?
Yes, I do think it's a bit of foreshadowing for later.
Yes.
Although I do think it's a hilarious description of the estate as well.
Yeah, true.
So Boise heads on in, and Raquel and Albert leave them alone to talk. So Boise is there to let him know that his satellite dish that we saw in the previous scene has been stolen. He is actually here at Nelson Mandela to suggest that Del offer £300 or £400 to buy his own property back if it should show up on the estate. So now we know why it was so important earlier to establish that it was Hooky. Otherwise, Boise could have just reported this to the police, right?
We should have told the police inspector that he got it off.
Yeah. I mean, he really did just drop round to deliver this message.
Yes.
Because he literally just leaves right after. So this is a sign of the times, because you would obviously just call or...
Well, he can't call because of the mobile phone issue, right? But they've got a landline, surely.
I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like, I don't know. I just don't know why they had this scene. Maybe because they wanted to show the Boise and Raquel dynamic.
I think that's probably why, because
Yeah.
it's a short scene, and that at least at the beginning and the end of it is Boise and Raquel having a bit of a rivalry.
Yeah, which is kind of nice to see, because I like that Raquel gets one over on Boise. She comes back in and says,
Is your son about 11 years old with a Mohican haircut?
Good God, no.
Well, who's that sitting in your Mercedes?
Go on, Boise, mate, that! Hope he falls down the stairs.
Hope he falls down the stairs. Which you said was the improvised line, right?
I did say that, yeah, in the last episode. That is not in the script. The same way that something from Rodney Come Home wasn't in the script. What was it again? I forgot.
Oh, God, I don't know, dude.
I know what it was. It was, wish somebody had shot you.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
So, a bit more David Jason live performance energy, probably. Just throwing in these lines that get kept because they are funny. And really natural, because they were natural. So Rodney seems to be feeling a little bit better now, and they're able to have a genuine talk about how he's feeling. He admits that he really does want his marriage to work. So he's been able to open a bit more up here to Raquel and Del about how he's feeling. His sarcastic and snappy sides do come out when he's angry, but the reason that he's like that is because he's defensive, because he's always been the butt of all the jokes. But when he's open and honest, he says here that he wants his marriage to work really, really, and that he doesn't mind Cassandra pursuing her career anymore. But I don't think he still says the bank the same way.
Yeah, I think that's just a lie. I think he does really care. He's willing in the moment to give up on that and be like, let's just get back together, but it's not resolved. If they actually get back together, he's going to keep bringing it up still.
So I think John Sullivan was trying to angle the story that Rodney has to do this thing where he goes to the airport, but the truth is that the issue isn't resolved, which we'll move on to in a moment when they go onto the balcony. But Del says,
Well, why don't you tell her that? Canapé de Anchois. The governor of the Bastille said as the old flames lit round his April. That is French, and it means I gotta do something quick.
So I noticed here that the French that Del uses here is not the French that's in the script. So he says here, canapés d'anchois. anchos, right? Which is actually Spanish for anchovy canapes. It's Spanish. And the line in the original script was revenons et nos moutons, which roughly means let's get back on track.
Oh.
So not surprisingly, neither of those phrases were actually uttered by the governor of the Bastille. But I did notice that Del says, as the flames licked around his old April. So this takes us back to that discussion in Danger UXD.
Yeah.
And this would fall into the arse category, right? It means arse.
Yes, it
Because
would.
the flames licked around his arse, not around his heart. So
Yeah, not his heart.
I think we have established that April means arse by this point, but we did have a fairly lengthy discussion.
So when you say your April's going, you're farting, basically.
Yeah, or you're shitting yourself because your ass, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the bit I'm talking about here. So Rodney continues here and he seems to go into like a sad, longing speech where he says,
Cassandra, the woman I loved. The woman who said she loved me. I've tried everything in my power to convince her. I feel like I've taken a mountain to Muhammad only to find he's already bloody got one.
He goes outside to the balcony. I don't think Rodney has done everything in his power to convince her.
No.
And I don't think at any point has he been sincere with her and apologized, because we've seen what ends up happening with Rodney and Cassandra is they try to talk and they just both go, you started it, or you walked out on me.
Yeah, I mean, he does it in this scene.
Yeah. At no point has Rodney tried everything in his power to convince her. I like the writing like that John Sullivan has put in here with the Mountain to Muhammad line and all of that Russian ambiance stuff. I like the writing, but what Rodney's character does not reflect.
No.
But maybe that's the thing. Rodney is delusional. He thinks that he's done all this, but he hasn't. And it's not surprising at all that Cassandra doesn't read this as a genuine gesture that wants to get back together, because he doesn't demonstrate that in any way with his action.
No, every time he says bank like that, it's never going to come across as sincere, is it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Even when he says, you know, if I don't mind if she wants to pursue her career at the bank.
Yeah.
Like, he still says it with disdain, and it's like, no, like, sorry, you're not over this.
No.
Like, at any point, you're not over this.
And you're right. Why would Cassandra suddenly agree to go to the hotel with him when they're having all these problems? It doesn't make any sense. She's even gone to live in a foreign country.
Yeah. No, she ain't. She's gone to Spain. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and there's this big assumption from Rodney in this whole episode that all he has to do is show up with a bouquet of flowers and she's going to fall into bed with him. That's not really how you resolve marriage issues.
I mean, to be fair, though, in the next episode, that is kind of all he has to do. But we'll come to that in the next episode.
No, that in the next episode, they remember the original reasons they fancy each other, which leads them to that.
Yeah, but what I mean is that is all it takes. They meet up and have a sit down for like 2 minutes and then you fancy me, don't you?
Yeah,
So-
and perhaps you could then argue there's not a whole lot of depth.
Yes, that's certainly what I argued all the way through Rodney Come Home.
Yes, that's true. But anyway, I cut this scene off before they go into the balcony, and I just had one more note, and that is, did you notice the parcel, the hooky parcel on the floor? There's like some big boxes of parcel.
I did.
And that takes me back to Diamonds of a Heather when he's selling the hooky parcel.
Yeah, I did notice the parcel. Was that like product placement, do you think, at this point? Because Fools and Horses was massive.
The BBC doesn't do product placement, though.
Oh, right.
Remember?
So
I don't know how...
Just gave him free advertising for Purcell then.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
God, if I was Purcell, I'd have been like, Del Boy recommends Purcell.
I think most of the brands would be happy enough to be in such a popular show that they wouldn't care about the fact that...
Yeah.
Because in the next episode, it's the Adidas stuff as well, all over the boxes in the bedroom. And I wonder, if they cared about the fact that, you know, he's supposed to be a hooky trader. But
yeah.
Anyway, I cut the scene off at the end of this bit. So do you want to do your notes?
Yeah, I don't have too many. So I just, first of all, said it's very unfortunate to see Rodney is continuing with his immaturity. You already mentioned that. This is also the last time, I believe, that we hear any mention of Raquel's stripping days. I think this is the last time it's ever mentioned, right?
Maybe. Yeah, could be.
Yeah, because I don't think Boise obviously is the only one who still kind of thinks of her in that way, but this is the last time they ever talk about it from my knowledge. And actually, Raquel hating Boise doesn't really come up again after this either. I mean, what she says about like, I'm going to leave because I feel a bit sick or nauseous or whatever she says, like that's a really harsh thing to say about somebody. But they don't seem to have that sort of banter or relationship anymore in scenes in the future when they're together. So I mean, it's good they got over it. But yeah, actually, I would have liked to have seen that become sort of an ongoing rivalry. I think that would have been really interesting. It's very good when Raquel comes back with that joke to make Boise run out of the flat, you know? Also, at this point, it's 30 minutes into the episode. So we're over halfway through the episode. And this is the first time we sort of start with the storyline that this eventually becomes about. Because, like, we haven't heard about the stolen statelite yet. We've been introduced to the characters and we know that Boise's got a satellite dish, but there's not any story momentum about what this episode is about. Like, the sky is the limit. It doesn't start until this point, the 30-minute mark. So, yeah, that's what I mean about this episode. It don't get going, does it? How did Boise not see the satellite dish on the balcony? That has got to be one of the biggest plot holes ever, because that thing is an eyesore. And how did Rodney not see it as well? I mean, I know that's the next scene, but come on. The curtains aren't even closed in the flat. Like, that might be something if they were, but they're not. So I don't understand how Boise would suspect Del of something like this, surely, like, because he knows Del. So the first thing I'd have done if I was Boise is have a quick look around the flat and look on the balcony. But anyway. And that's all I had for that scene.
Yeah, I think obviously I know people have pointed that out as a mistake, but it gets heavily downvoted when people do, because it's not a mistake. Obviously, it's meant to just all build up to this big reveal, because you can see in the whole of the next scene on the balcony, you can see the satellite dish over Rodney's shoulder, just a little hint of it. But it does say in the script, you know, that Rodney's supposed to just turn around and be like hugely shocked by it. It wouldn't have been such a funny reveal if it wasn't this enormous satellite dish just sitting there. So, yeah.
No, of course not. Like I said, of course it's done for the plot. Of course it is. But yeah, just as I always do, pointing out the things that would have happened given what we know about the characters.
It's correct in saying, right, that Del does not know this is Boise's satellite dish until now.
No.
So he bought this off Bronco. And as far as he knows, you know, he could have taken Boise outside and been like, look at this thing I got. Like, he could have if Boise hadn't said.
Yeah.
But Del's very chill about the whole thing. He doesn't even seem nervous that Boise's in his living room and could have walked outside at any point and just seen the satellite dish. So I think, yeah, it's cleverly done in that regard.
Well, actually, that's another question I had, because I was sort of picking apart the plot a little bit at the end and asking this question. Does Del know that that's Boise's? Like, we don't know what was said on the phone call with Bronco. Was Bronco like, oh, I've got this satellite dish, I stole it from Boise? Because obviously Del did not ask where he got this from.
No.
When he took it off him, which is a bit silly. So I wonder if Bronco, because he was drunk, maybe he lied and said it was Boise's.
No.
And Del already knew that Boise was going to be coming and asking for it.
No, I don't think so at all, because Del is so adamant in the last scene that he needs to talk to Bronco to find out where he got it from. So he doesn't know where he got it. It doesn't even have a hint of where he got it from.
Well, that's what I mean. So maybe he thought it was Boise's and then he finds out it definitely isn't. So he's like, I've got to find out where he actually got it from.
Yeah, but he doesn't think it's Boise's until Boise comes over, right? So now he thinks it's Boise's.
Well, that's what I mean. We don't know. That's why I'm just putting it out there that maybe he does think it's Boise's.
To go back to the 30-minute thing, it's what we were saying earlier. Like, the episodes are 50 minutes long and only a fraction of the episode really is about the main
story.
Plot. A lot of these episodes are a lot more about the characters and less about the plot. So it's easy to sort of forget the storyline sometimes in these episodes.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely talk about this more in the next episode, because it doesn't feel like The Chance of Lunchtime really has a story.
Yeah, I used to call it the musical doorbell episode.
Yeah, me too.
That's all I remembered about it.
So the plots are a little bit less the focus, and it's more about the scenes and the characters and the dialogue once we've reached this point. So
yeah,
that's probably why it's 30 minutes before it gets going. But yeah, I mean, we did have a bit about the satellite dish in the first scene with Boise and Marlene. So yeah,
that's what I said. Like, it's set up a little bit, but then it doesn't go anywhere until like 30 minutes in. Then we start to get a bit of a story.
So this is the rest of the scene basically, but now it's outside on the balcony. So you might be wondering if these balcony shots were actually shot out on a balcony, or maybe you're just super smart and you already know that that wasn't the case. But
no.
Thanks again to the production diary, I can confirm that the location shots were taken of the balcony on a different date. So they're then edited together with the actual studio shoot of the scene on the balcony. So
yeah.
The establishing shots were taken on Tuesday, the 16th of October, 1990 at the Ashton Gate Flats, although these shots never actually made it into the final edit. The shot of Del and Rodney outside on a balcony was actually shot on Thursday, the 18th of October, in order to film this sort of scene where you can see the little Del and Rodney out there. The small rig was set up by a scaffolder.
Right.
And it's literally just a split second. You just see the outside shot.
Yeah, it is a very, very tiny shot. Yeah.
And then it cuts back to the studio recording, and that's where we get the rest of the scene here. So they're both looking out over the balcony, and Del is trying to convince Rodney here that Cassandra feels the same way as he does, and that she wants to get back together. Del continues with this and tells Rodney that he has had a great idea, and he suggests Rodney booking a very fancy hotel suite near the airport to surprise Cassandra as she comes home from the airport. So Rodney doesn't take too much convincing here. It's important here that Del has asked him if he has any money, because we need to know that Rodney's got money for this to work. But we see in the next scene that Del has actually upgraded a few things for Rodney, maybe without telling him, at the hotel. But it's also important here that at the end of the scene, we see something that we've never seen before in the history of Only Fools and Horses, and that is nice that Rodney offers money to Del to support him.
I wrote that too.
If we don't know what we know now, and that is that Rodney loses his job in the next episode, Rodney actually has got an income now, and he can support himself. He's never had that before. And he's offering to give Del money, which I think is sweet, because at first
I agree.
He's like, well, I ain't got a lot, because like he's nervous because he thinks, oh, Del will know that he's got money and Del will take it, which, you know, again, we know he does in the future. Miami Twice, for example.
Yes.
But then he offers the money, so I think that's quite sweet. But Del refuses, of course, which is sweet.
But only because he thinks he's going to sell the satellite dish.
You know, I said I had some money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since I started work for Ellen, I've been doing really well, you know. I know you've been struggling a bit lately, so what I'm saying is if you need it, it's there.
Rodney, you are the jewel in Mum's crown. No, Rodney, you really are.
Shut up.
No, it's true. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. But as it happens, I'm not doing too bad at the moment. I'm doing quite well with the old half-price printing. And I reckon I'm going to pick up a nice bit of bunts with that thing there.
So at this point, Rodney looks behind him and we see the enormous looming satellite dish behind him, which is a hilarious reveal, is what I wrote here.
Yes.
And it says in the script that it needs to look similar, but not exactly the same. So if you are a savvy viewer and you know it isn't Boise satellite dish, you'll be able to tell straight away. But I never noticed the difference.
No, God, neither did I. Not something I would have noticed when I was younger watching.
But it does mean they had to make two different props because it's not supposed to look the same.
But I also wonder if this really looks like a air traffic controlling dish. I'd have thought they would have been much bigger than this.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't do the research on that. And also technology's changed over the years. So.
That's true. I do find it crazy if it is accurate that all you have to do is take one satellite dish away from one airport and the whole of Europe comes to a standstill.
No. That's not realistic, obviously. And of course it's not realistic. This is just a big joke, but these things have like tracking in them. Like you would know, they'd be able to find it. But whatever.
I think someone would have seen them taking it as well. I mean, it's not the easiest thing to get away with without anyone seeing you.
Okay, that's the end of that scene. How about your notes, dude?
So I just have a few things. Is this the first time that we've seen the balcony since To Hull and Back? I know we saw it in one door as one door closes. To Hull and Back was after as one door closes, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's a different balcony. But yeah, I know what you mean. The Nelson Mandela balcony.
Well, yeah, because it looks a lot bigger.
Yes.
I said the balcony compared to previous times that we've seen
the flat got bigger too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I wonder, they made everything bigger just so they could fit the statelite dish on it. And you mentioned earlier about Cassandra being mentioned a lot in this episode, and you're quite right. I thought that Cassandra was in this episode because she's mentioned so often and she isn't. And I was surprised to get to this point and be like, wow, she really isn't in it. So Del's plan does sound good about the hotel room, but Rodney should know by now not to trust any of Del's plans. They always go wrong. And also to carry on with what you said, it is lovely seeing Rodney offer money to Del. That's a really meaningful thing, I agree. So I'm quite surprised, honestly, that Del agreed to take this satellite dish off Bronco, because Bronco was drunk when he offered it to him. I have no idea why Del would take something off Bronco. And you mentioned he gave Bronco money for it. Del knows that Bronco has a tendency to nick silly things. So I just think Del would have been more skeptical about going into business or doing any business with Bronco that, hey, when a drunk guy calls you in a pub and offers you a satellite dish, who wouldn't take it?
But Del has a tendency to buy very silly things.
That's very true. Briefcases without the code.
Ooh, that's an old ref.
Yes, going straight back to Big Brother. But yeah, we established in the first episode that Del has a tendency to buy very silly things. You're right. That's all I had for that scene.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the hotel, and the first shot we see is of the manager coming down the hallway, and he enters the suite and introduces himself as Henry, the concierge. So Henry was played by Gordon Warnecki, who is still an actor to this day. He's been in other well-known shows such as Brookside, The Bill, and EastEnders. He lets Rodney know that he's spoken to Del and all the arrangements are made. Now, Del has obviously said some stuff here that makes it sound like some kind of clandestine affair. So all the things that Del has requested are a lot more expensive than Rodney expects them to be.
As this booking is of an intimate nature, I think it would help to maintain a degree of privacy if we dealt only in cash.
Oh, yes, right.
That'll be £150, please.
150? That's nice, of course.
I used in 2013 dollars.com again for these figures. So £150 in 1990 would be the equivalent of £442 today. And the £70 for the champagne would be about £206 today.
For one bottle of champagne.
So you can kind of see why Rodney loses it here a little bit.
I mean, I was already like 70 quid for a bottle of champagne. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this stuff's really expensive. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, the concierge continues.
A special evening, is it, sir?
Cool, yeah. If I'm... yes. My wife will be landing at the North Terminal in about an hour.
Oh, I see. Well, don't worry. If she should call at the hotel, I'll say I've never heard of you.
No, you don't understand. My wife is my guest.
Your wife? Oh, well, it takes all kinds.
So it says in the lovely Jubbly book that this hotel set was built in front of the flat and the Nag's Head sets, where they usually put the audience. And it was filmed on a non-audience day, as confirmed by Gordon Warnecki in interviews, that they didn't have an audience, because he said that adds a lot of pressure to the filming for the cast, which it does. So he didn't have that pressure, luckily. And it was gone. The hotel set was gone by the next day, and they put the audience in and they recorded the studio.
Yeah.
So it was very temporary.
Well, it's a short scene.
Yeah, it's a short scene. But honestly, yeah, I'm sure you've got this in your notes too. But this hotel is not what I would expect for the best suite in the hotel.
No, definitely not. Looks a bit bargain basement. Looks a bit like the back rooms, actually.
I guess they didn't have a huge budget to build a very fancy room. If they had, they maybe would have wanted to use an actual hotel room. But then that would have been another studio day. Another location day. So it doesn't matter.
And they probably had to pay to use it as well. So that would have cost a lot of money.
But then, honestly, it depends where you are and where you go. Airport hotels have never got that fancy suites, I don't think.
Well, I've never stayed in a fancy one at a hotel near an airport.
No, nor have I. But I mean, maybe living in Asia, you've got distorted views because the 5-star hotels in Asia are literally like palaces.
Yeah, they are. And they're a lot cheaper than 5-star hotels in the West.
Yes.
That are nowhere near as nice. Yes, that's very true.
Yeah, that's one thing about staying in Asia in a really nice hotel is it's like staying in paradise, whereas in the Western world, you will have to pay a lot of money to stay at very fancy.
And a lot of money to stay in somewhere even halfway decent. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of that scene. Any notes on the hotel?
Yeah, I just had one slightly anecdotal note, I guess. When I was younger and I watched this scene, I always thought that the guy thought Rodney was gay and he was waiting for a gay lover. I think it's because of the way that he acts this role. He's sort of like raising his eyebrows and being like, oh, your wife. And I don't know why I always thought that when I was younger, that he thought Rodney was gay and that was why he was like, and sort of just making a bit of a insinuation all the way through the scene that like, oh, I know what you're up to kind of thing. So yeah, it's just a weird thing, I thought.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, just I guess it's just the way that the actor does it, the way that he raises his eyebrows, and I found it a bit flirty almost as well. The dynamic between the two of them. I'm not sure, not from Rodney's side, but yeah. And then yeah, I guess if you work in a hotel, you would see a lot of affairs. So I guess it makes sense that he was like, oh, your wife? No, don't worry, I'll tell her I've never heard of you. Sad state of society.
Yeah. And honestly, there is no reason for this to be so fancy and in need of a concierge. There's absolutely no reason for any of this. They could have just booked the hotel. They didn't need this. But
yeah, exactly.
I think it's just to like obviously ham up the idea that Rodney spent a lot of money, because if you just booked a hotel, you wouldn't have needed to have any of the come down at the end with I'll spend £200.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been so pissed off. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so then there's just a short scene here of Rodney at the airport, and this actually was shot at Stansted Airport in London on Friday the 26th of October 1990. I think you can clearly tell this is really an airport.
You can tell.
All shot in one day. Rodney's waiting for Cassandra's flight, looking up at the arrivals board and seeing nothing but delays listed. And he goes over to speak to a woman at the desk who is clearly getting harassed by customers on the phone. So this lady was Lucy Hancock and appears to be a small part actress. Not many credits on IMDb, nothing after 1993 when she starred in an episode of the British Empire. Rodney goes ahead and asks when Cassandra's flight will land, and he does not get the response he wants.
That flight should be landing in about 10 minutes, sir.
Oh, good.
In Manchester.
In Manchester?
I'm afraid it was rerouted.
But I'm waiting for my wife. I've booked a hotel suite. I've got a bottle of champagne. I spent nigh on 200 quid waiting for this flight.
Sorry, sir, but as you can see, the airport's in absolute chaos at the moment. Your wife was lucky to take off at all.
So Rodney is left bewildered and disappointed. He walks away and dumps the flowers at the end, looking very angry and upset. And that's the whole scene. What notes did you have? Any?
I first of all, just personal thing. I hate airports. I used to love them when I was younger, traveling, but now it's like the worst part of going anywhere to me that I have to go on a plane. Not because I'm afraid or anything, just because the whole experience is never very nice. I mean, obviously, I don't pay extra to go first class or business class or even premium economy. I can't afford any of that stuff, but still, it's like horrible. Hate flying. And I just said I'm surprised that the airport didn't announce the reason that the airport was in chaos. You'd think that that would have been one of the first things they would have had to do, because obviously everyone would be like, what the hell's the problem? What's going on? Like they would have at least said, oh, there's a signal failure or something like there would have been a reason given if the whole airport was affected. Not on individual flights, but the entire of Europe being affected. They would have surely had to have announced the reason why. So yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have loved to have seen more information on this shoot and how they managed to shoot at the airport. Like, did they use actual travelers as extras? Because in my mind, if this had actually happened, this doesn't look like chaos to me. This looks like a normal airport day.
No.
So what you would expect is like a massive throng of people. There's no way Rodney would have got to the desk to be able to talk to the woman.
Yeah.
I think in reality, there would have been so many people and it would have been lots of yelling and it would have been more chaotic. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, real airports, when things go wrong, people lose their shit, me included. Like, it's one of the few times in my life that I get rage when I'm in an airport and something goes wrong, because airport staff tend to be quite blunt and unapologetic because they know, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to complain? It's not going to change anything. So, like, they seem to almost take a bit of sadistic pleasure in sort of torturing you with, oh, delayed, and we're not going to tell you why, and we're just going to stand here and ignore you, and you're crying in the corner.
I think they have to be that way, though, because if they don't emotionally detach, they wouldn't be able to do the job. It's like medical workers. You can't really apologize because it's out of your hands. And
yeah, true.
All these people that think customer service comes into play, like, unfortunately, this is not the actions of somebody causing the problem. This is something that they just have to handle the anger.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We've all been in horrible situations. I've been stuck at airports during storms and stuff. And there's never really anybody that's super sympathetic to you because you're just one person out of thousands that's in this plight. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the airport's one of the few places that the more upset you get, the less they care about you. I think most places it's not like that, but the airport, yes.
And nowadays, if you want to kick off, you're going to end up going viral.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll be arrested. I mean, airport security as well is so tight. Like, anything that you do that's considered aggressive, they'll drag your ass away.
Yeah, you got to be careful about that. Anyway, we cut back to the Nag's Head and we hear that poor Raquel is stuck at the table with Rodney while he's complaining. he's such a victim in this scene because nothing's really happened to him, has it really? Let's face it. She's the one who's got rerouted.
Well, I did write, like, why didn't he take the bottle of champagne with him and keep it for another time? I mean, he didn't open it in the scene, so presumably it's okay.
Yeah.
It was just on ice.
In the next scene, Alan has gone to Manchester to pick up Cassandra. Couldn't Rodney have done that? I mean, he's perfectly happy to drive all the way to Hull.
Yeah.
How?
Following Denzel.
But anyway, let's not just pick the plot apart. But
yeah,
they're sitting at the table that's kind of pushed right to the front of the set here. Is this the first time we've seen Raquel in the Nag's Head since Dates?
Yeah, I think so, because she wasn't in there in Rodney Come Home, because it wasn't in Rodney Come Home. They were in the nightclub. That's the extent of it.
So it's such a different setting, you know, Raquel wearing a big cardigan and sitting down at the table, not a little stripper underwear. Yeah. So Rodney will not shut up about how much he spent on the evening. And the scene cuts over to Del speaking to Mike at the bar. So here, Del reveals to Mike that he's expecting a big payout from Boise when he arrives. So we're seeing that the satellite dish scam is supposed to come full circle here. He walks back over to the table with 2 large cognacs for he and Raquel, and Rodney's still moaning. He says,
Oh, I had such high hopes for tonight.
Yeah, I thought you did by the way you walked in.
That joke doesn't get much of a laugh, but I think that's hilarious.
No.
So they continue to console Rodney, but Albert then arrives to throw a spanner in the works.
Cassandra's up north.
Yeah, I know. How'd you know?
She just phoned from Manchester Airport. Wanted you to know she's safe and not to worry.
Where'd you say Rodney was?
I said he was spending the night in some hotel.
Did you say which hotel?
I couldn't remember its name, so I gave her the phone number.
But you told her I'd gone to meet her at the airport.
Of course not. It was supposed to be a surprise.
You Garrity old git!
She phoned the hotel to find out I'd booked a honeymoon suite in the name of Mr. and Mrs. Trotter.
And she'll think that Rodney's gone queso with some tart. God, dear. I don't know how you're going to chat your way out of this one, Rodney.
That part reminds me of when, in Fatal Extraction, when Albert comes in and delivers the news to Del, and Raquel's left you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny having Albert be the answer phone for the Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of loses their shit here. They all blame each other, even though, honestly, nobody's at fault here.
No.
Raquel is the voice of reason, and she just suggests that you phone Alan, and it seems like a very simple solution, but it conveniently gets them all to leave because
they want to use the landline to call him because Del's mobile phone is not suitable.
Yeah. And I had to note again here, everyone leaves without touching their drinks.
Yeah.
This really gets to me because it's like, oh, that's so expensive. And you just
2 cognacs. Yeah, that wouldn't have been a cheap order.
Maybe Boise could have grabbed the large cognac from Raquel.
Well, to be fair, Del stays behind, so Del could have just drank everything.
Which I'm sure he did. So.
Yes.
Del says that he's staying behind to wait for his money, and Boise arrives looking rather smug. Now, unfortunately, Del is not getting paid.
You said he'd been nicked.
Yes, that's what I thought. However, I discovered this evening that while Marlene and I were out for the day, the engineers took it away for repair.
Well, whose is that thing that I've got on my balcony?
Oh, I don't know, Del. And to be perfectly honest, I couldn't give a monkey's toss.
I think a few of our listeners have followed along here and mentioned varied times over the years where Boise and Del kind of tuck each other up with scams. And one day we'd love to do a summary of all the times that it's shown on TV. But at this point, we're just going to discuss them individually. In this case, Boise is in the wrong because he came over and told Del to buy it off somebody for that amount.
Yeah.
Now, no matter whether that was his or not, Del could have gone ahead and bought any satellite dish that he'd found on the estate for $300 or $400. Boise had said offer that amount.
Yeah.
How is Del supposed to know? Either way, Boise should be paying Del for this. He should be paying him back, but he wouldn't.
Well, to be fair, Del should have taken the money off Boise when he said, buy one for me, I'll go to this much. And Del should have been like, give me the cash then, and then I'll do it. Because otherwise, Del's spending his own cash and then expecting Boise to just give it back, which is not like Boise to be a man of his word.
I think Boise is in the wrong, though, here. Yeah, Del should have got the money, but
Absolutely.
And just one note, going back to previous episodes, one of our listeners on Spotify, Steve Perrin, said, because we never knew the meaning of queso, we couldn't find the origin for queso. So this is what he wrote. Queso means to have sex. It derives from the Spanish word for house, which is casa, which was also used to describe a cat house or brothel. So going queso, London slang, would mean to visit a brothel to have sex. So when he says queso in all the other episodes, he just means having sex. Because we questioned it before.
Yeah, you're not going queso with the wife of a convict, are you? Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with anybody being in jail. And Del says it in Class of 62. He's gone queso with Slater. And it was said in another episode, which I can't remember. But it's when we questioned it ages ago what it means.
Yeah.
And that was when he commented on it. And I've forgotten which episode that was in. So now we finally have an explanation for the origin of the term queso.
Oh, great.
So
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And any notes on that scene, dude?
So first of all, I'm surprised that they're talking so loudly about Boise bringing 500 quid in cash to the pub. Mike and Del just stating this, everyone around them hearing it, especially when they're so concerned about it in later episodes. I just hope that the skinheads didn't hear. Large snowball for Dora. This is yet another conflict in this day and age that would not exist because of WhatsApp and Messenger. There would be no problem.
Yeah.
I love the double insults from Del and Rodney to Albert. They both insult him at the same time in a different way. That's very funny. And as you mentioned, Raquel being the voice of reason, something that happens a lot in the episodes with Raquel in them. She sort of becomes the voice of reason in many situations. Now, Del is suddenly concerned when Boise comes in about him handing 500 quid over in the pub, even though he was speaking about it very loudly a moment ago. And it's quite a good twist, I said, that the dish isn't Boise's, because I think all of us assume that it is, and this is like the beginning of the story really taking off for just this last scene, really.
See what we did there?
Yes. That's all I had for that scene.
So here we go back to Nelson Mandela House, and we're entering into that final scene. The first shot we get is the satellite dish out on the balcony, moving around a lot. And inside the flat, we see everybody is busy. Albert is messing around with the TV. Raquel is looking through Del's old address book, trying to find Bronco's number. Rodney is trying to phone Alan. And Del is drowning his sorrows over at the bar. So Rodney can't get through to Alan, and he goes down a rabbit hole of despair.
He's not in. He's probably gone to Manchester to pick up Cassandra. And she will tell him I booked into a hotel with another woman. He will fire me, she will divorce me, and it's all your fault. And yours.
Oh, shut up, you tart.
So it seems Del is going to direct his attention now to finding out where the satellite dish came from. And they're struggling to find out, or in Del's case, remember where Bronco lives. If we remember back, he threw his card away at Boise's.
Yeah.
And Rodney's saying something about air traffic control as it triggers Del's memory. Bronco lives in an Airbnb at Gatwick.
Yeah.
And he runs over to the table to start looking through some sort of directory. Raquel asks,
But you can't remember what it was called?
No. All I remember was it was named after somebody famous.
Oh, well, that narrows it down, doesn't it, Uncle, would you pop into my room and get my 37 volumes of famous historical characters, please? Well, we'll soon have this one sorted out, Del, eh?
Yes, I do love a bit of sarcastic Rodney.
So here Del is able to narrow the search a little bit. He says it was named after a famous painter. And after a few wrong guesses, he adds famous French painter to the mix. So Raquel and Rodney are guessing back and forth, quick fire here, and Albert just adds a quiet
Schubert.
Schubert, you soppy old geeks.
That's it! He's got it! The Hotel Schubert! Schubert? Yes, well done, Unc. There you are, you see. Look at you. Got all these GCEs, and it takes an old sea dog to come up with the answer.
Schubert weren't French.
No?
No, and he weren't a painter.
Well, he should have been.
So there's another one of our classic quotes that we
That
do
reminds
all the
me
time.
of Dad so much. That's something Dad would definitely say. If he was in the wrong, he should have been.
He should have been a painter. Del can call Bronco now, and he manages to get through. Just before Del connects, Rodney and Raquel decide that they're going to watch the news. That's important to note.
Yeah.
So Del asks Bronco,
Where did you get that satellite dish from, eh? Sorry? What are you apologising for? It's all right, don't worry. All right, so you was desperate and you had a funny turn. Yeah, I can understand that. I've had Rodney living back with us. Yeah. You what? You, of course I know what it is. It's a satellite receiver dish, isn't it? Hey? What do you mean that's what you thought? Bronco, why are you crying? What is it then? Where did you get it from? Oh, my God. Oh, hell's bloody bells.
So where did he get it from?
He didn't say.
Yeah, I've got to say, that makes absolutely no sense. Dell's reaction, if he didn't say, like, what is he reacting to then?
That's the joke, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. So now Raquel calls Dell over to the TV, and this reminds me of Danger UXD with the newsreader.
I wrote exactly the same thing. Yeah, in the takeaway with Denzel watching the news to find out what's going on.
The radar transmitter dish, similar to the one shown here, was stolen from the end of Gatwick Airport's main runway during the early hours of yesterday morning. The theft brought Gatwick Airport to a complete standstill. It has caused chaos throughout Europe and left thousands of returning holidaymakers stranded. The Prime Minister and the
Cause that? You brought Europe, a whole continent, to a standstill.
I didn't mean to.
So this newsreader was an actual BBC anchorman, Richard Whitmore, and if you think he reads the news in more than one episode of Only Fools and Horses, you would be correct. But which is the other episode? One clue is you only hear his voice next time, you don't see him.
Another time they're watching TV and that's part of the plot.
Yes.
Mother Nature's Son.
It is Mother Nature's Son.
The ending of Mother Nature's Son.
So yeah, just so you know, if Heather has got it out, she was silent for like 5 full minutes then. Thinking about it now. So Dell is frantic with panic here, and he's trying to justify himself by showing Rodney the satellite dish. He drags him outside on the balcony, and we see it moving around, and then we cut to a shot of a plane turning ominously towards the building. So in order to create this shot, it mentions in Lovely Jubbly, they changed the usual backdrop that you see through the window at Nelson Mandela House. They used models of neighbouring flats placed in front of a distance scaled backdrop to create the realistic perspective. And they went ahead and used these same models to shoot the scene of the jumbo jet approaching the building. So John Sullivan is quoted as saying, "I was in the studio when we shot the scene of the miniature approaching jet, and I saw the special effects, which I thought were amazing. I did worry for a while that the scene was going to look like something out of the Thunderbirds, but it didn't because the special effects team did such an incredible job."
Yeah, they did, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look fake.
No.
Even though I know it is. For its day, it's not bad at all. It does not look like something out of Thunderbirds.
I mean, practical effects are always going to look better than CGI and all that crap that people use today.
Yeah, models and miniatures. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of it in Red Dwarf, and yeah, a lot of it looks really, really bad, but it doesn't matter because it's kind of the style of the show. They always had pretty bad special effects in Red Dwarf, and that's a sci-fi show, so you've got to expect they had to do a lot more. But with a show like this, they didn't do much in the way of stunts and special effects. It was few and far between, so...
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Any more notes on that scene and Nelson Mandela, dude?
Again, Google Maps could have solved the bed and breakfast name problem in a fraction of a second if it was around at the time. All you'd have to do is look at a picture on Google Maps of Gatwick and zoom in. I love the line about Hotel Hitler.
Yeah.
The Hotel Hitler.
Who would call her Hotel Hitler?
It's just very funny.
I know, that is a really funny line.
It feels like this scene is a bit too drawn out, like the reveal's a bit too drawn out. I feel like, because the whole scene's like 6 minutes, I think we could have made it 3 minutes. It would have been a bit more fast-paced, you know, like the whole trying to guess the name of the hotel. Everything could have just been a bit faster for me, but yeah, it's fine. I also said that the news report reminded me of Miami Twice as well, when we find out something on the news. There they are. It's Del and Dave. Public enemy number 1. And even that delivery of the line is similar to you've brought Europe, a whole continent, to a standstill. And yeah, I just said, as we spoke about at the beginning of this episode, this has got to be one of the most, there's no way they would have recovered from this situation endings to any episode, because the plane was already too close. It would have hit the building. Del would have been banged up in prison for a long time for being an accessory to the theft of something like this. I mean, this ending is probably the least grounded in reality of all the endings of the entire series. But as a kid, I loved it. I thought it was funny. I mean, I would have been about 10, 9 or 10 years old when I first saw this episode, so I was still pretty young. And yeah, I thought it was very funny at the time. And yeah, kids don't care if things aren't grounded in reality, so that makes sense. But yeah, as an adult, pick the bones out of that, darling, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That should be my soundbite every time I start picking the plot apart. So yeah, that's all I had for that episode.
Yeah, and I agree. I think also we mentioned this earlier, but the novelty of this episode being one we hadn't seen many times and wasn't easy to get, we loved it for that reason. So
yeah,
I can totally see it. But in a way, like you could argue that John Sullivan had these longer episodes and he decided to do the ongoing storylines, but the old-fashioned idea of what a sitcom is, and that is that it's inconsequential. One episode, the next episode erases what happened in the previous one.
Yeah.
It's a bit contradictory there because
yeah,
in the beginning of the next episode, this is all over, nothing's ever happened, Del didn't get in any trouble.
Yeah, and they never mention it again. Yeah, of
Nelson
course.
Mandela still stands, so that's probably why it's a little bit difficult for us all to get our heads around if we want to think about it like that. You just need to laugh at the end and forget it happened, really.
Yeah, it's true, because, this is definitely something that would have been mentioned as they were walking off into the sunset at the end of Time in Our Hands. Do you remember when that time you had to pretend to be 14, not that time that you nearly crashed a plane into Nelson Mandela?
And like we've said, Del was almost murdered by an escaped axe murderer. He was also almost murdered by a mafia boss.
Murdered by Donizetti.
All these things that happen never get mentioned. It doesn't matter, but yeah, that's the thing. It's funny that they keep bringing up the painting competition.
Yeah, because that wasn't far-fetched. That could have happened, I guess.
Yeah, it could have. It's a realistic thing. Somewhat realistic.
Somewhat, yes.
But anyway, yeah, if there's nothing else, we could move on to our rewards.
Okay, so as always, we have 3 awards to announce this week, and we'll start with our Plonker of the Week.
You stupid little plonker.
So for Plonker of the Week, we each nominate a plonker, and we will discuss and decide who wins. I think I already know what Jenny's going to nominate here. Can I guess, dude?
You can guess if you want, yeah.
I think you'll nominate Boise.
No, I nominate Bronco.
Oh, I put Bronco or Boise.
Okay,
yeah, go on.
yeah.
Why did you nominate Bronco?
Because he caused all of this by just being silly. Yeah, stealing from the end of the... What did he think? Because, Del says on the phone, what do you mean that's what you thought? So he thought it was just a satellite dish, but he's at the airport. So why do you think it was just a satellite dish?
But Bronco was drunk when he stole it, presumably, so maybe that's the reason that he thought it was a satellite dish.
Bronco is similar to the Mickey Pierce. He's just laid out to be a plonker from day one. His character is a plonker inherently, so I don't know if it's... Yeah, maybe Boise's worse because he's not. He went ahead and asked Del to pay that money and then acted like it was got nothing to do with him. So maybe, let's give it to Boise.
Yeah, Boise, I think, is more deserving because, Bronco's got problems.
Yeah.
But you don't want to listen to him, Del. He's always had it in for him.
Some sort of paranoia. Okay, Boise is Plonker of the Week.
And to be perfectly honest, I couldn't give a monkey's toss.
So, Jenny... this week, we'll award the best line, will you, dude? Have you nominated anything?
Yeah, I actually did.
You've done it.
I actually did my work, yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, so what have you chosen for best line, dude?
Well, I'm going to make sure I reword it. My favourite line.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got a few nominations, and you can add yours in as well. So...
Sure.
I've chosen several. My first one is, that's a good age, isn't it? Well, it weren't for him. He died.
That's my first one, too.
I heard later, through friends, she wanted to go with me.
I also nominated that.
I put, don't get your face too close, it scares him. And you don't want that sort of thing in a pub, do you? Most of them are not Del and Rodney lines, so I kind of feel like I want to give it to Triggers. I heard later through friends that she wanted to go with me.
It's just so perfect, the delivery and everything else. Yeah, I agree. It's very good. I did have one more honourable mention that you didn't say, which is, don't you go and say nothing to her about it. Why don't she know?
That's the thing. I really did want to give it to Albert in this episode because he, in that first scene, like you said, he's on fire.
Yeah.
I also didn't even mention that they put it in the oven. Put it in the oven.
Put it in the oven. Yeah, exactly.
I really love that one.
Confused as a newt. All of these are great. I agree.
Yeah. And that's what we were saying earlier about this episode has a lot of great lines and it's actually a good laugh out loud episode. So
yeah,
I'll give it to Trigger's line, but lots of honorable mentions there. So
yeah. And I have chosen the best moment, and I don't know if you have any nominations for this, dude. So
I do.
I think I've got 3, but one of them is like an obvious one that I personally don't think is the best moment, but I guess it would be the most memorable moment from this episode, which is them on the balcony saying switch it off. Like everyone would say, what's one part of that episode you remember, and they'd say that. But for me personally, I like 2 other moments. So the first one is Trigger's story. This whole moment with Del. Actually, my favorite bit of Trigger's story is the long pause with the smugness, and then all of them saying, yeah, sorry, it's a bit personal. Trig, what happened? Like, that part there in particular is really funny. But I also nominated Del going to drink the tea after he finishes the story, and he thinks Albert doesn't have anything else to say, and then he says, where? I think that's also a really good moment from this episode. So I guess for me, to be a bit more obscure, since we already gave the best line to Trigger, I would go for the moment where Del goes to drink the tea and Albert says, where? Because I think the comedic timing on that moment is so perfect. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And you said earlier that you do really love that scene. So if that's like your favorite scene from the episode, it's nice to choose that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the most famous and the biggest moment of the episode is going to be the plane flying towards the building. So I had nominated that, or the newsreader moment where they show the dish on the news.
Yeah.
And the reaction plus Trigger's story again. So yeah, I don't think we can give Trigger's story the best moment and the best line. So
no.
Yeah. If you and it's your reward, so you're giving it to where?
Yeah.
Could you keep your voice down? None better you and the dudoin.
Del's facial expression and like looking like, oh, it's finished. A little nod and then take a drink. It's just brilliant. Yeah. Really funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So if that is everything, drink up, we're leaving.
Great. So that about wraps it up for this week. Join us in 2 weeks' time when we'll be discussing Series 7, Episode 2, The Chance of a Lunchtime. Until then, red sails in the sunset.
Da, 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 da. Au revoir, listeners. If you like what you hear and want to contact us, please email us at longlivehookeystreetpodcast@gmail.com. Wherever you are listening to us, please give us a like, subscribe, or follow. And it really helps us out if you give the podcast a rating or review. Use our link tree to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages. And if you feel inclined, you can buy us a pina colada on buymeacoffee.com. Bonjour.